Welcome, everybody, to My Hero Analysis Beyond, the MHA Rewatch Show. I am Tom Uatu DeGrazia, joined by my co-hosts Steph, Stalagmite, Thrilla, Bear at the bottom, and we are joined by a special guest this week, Dan, the Articulator Baquero. Am I saying that right?
Actually, you are, and that's weird that you are. So
awesome, cool.
That's not normally the right way people say it, but
so the right way is not normally the right way people say
right.
it.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot of wrong pronunciations. So good job.
I can imagine when I saw your last name and you had like given it to me because I sent you a holiday card. I don't know why I'm talking about all this stuff, but when I was saying it, I was like, oh, this must be like, you know, it's like my name. No one ever says my name the way how it's supposed to be pronounced. I don't even say the way how it's supposed to be pronounced because that's not how I was brought up saying my last name. But like whenever I meat someone who has like a name like that, I always try my best to do it that way. But yeah, like I've had my last name butchered, and I always thought it was like one of the easiest last names, but it is. I've heard it 1,000 different ways, usually by robocalls.
Well, sometimes people see like the Q backwards as a G. That was always like substitute teachers. So yeah,
that makes sense. And I see Christy, who is Dan's wife, in the comments. Hello, Christy.
All credit for your setting this up, by the way, because this is our office.
I know, I'm excited for this.
It's pretty like plain looking.
Yep.
Because the nerd room's like over there, and this is like where boring shit happens. So I went out to go get a drink, and then she came back and like set all that up, and it was pretty cute. So
I think that's adorable. You have like a little display of those guys.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So
back there, those actually stay here, but those are just satellite figures for today.
Just moving around.
Yeah.
So we have a fun episode. It's basically round one of all of round one, which is great. I said wrong at the end of last week, and I apologize. And I got to apologize also to my co-host and guest because I had said, oh, we only got to watch 2 episodes this week. But no, that's actually the week after, which we'll talk about, I think, off air, how we want to handle that. Because I think maybe we do watch 3 episodes, and then the final one, we watch 2 episodes. But whatever, we'll get to that when we get to that. But this week, it is 3 episodes. It is all of round 1 of the license provision training, test.
Yeah.
Program.
Sure. But hey, why don't we dive into it? Because I'm sure, you know, that we have an extra voice going on. I'm sure it'll take us even longer this time to get through it all.
I know.
So without further... So
I think the first, I think it was 8 minutes of this episode was just a recap of the last episode. So all the screens I didn't get last episode that you guys kind of called me out on, I've got this time. So it's going to be...
Gotcha.
So this is what basically this is like them introducing what's happening. Only 100 of them can pass. And then they went through this, and then we get to see UA take on the first bombardment.
Yep. Yeah, this is all rehash. This is the end of the previous episode. Them quickly shutting down the first advance by all the other kids.
So I got everybody this time doing their cool stuff. So
Zero's shoulder pad looks like his head in this picture. It's kind of crazy. Like I think he has like a
Spencer's, right?
Yeah.
These 3 episodes, Zero shine. He was one of the coolest characters for a while.
He also has one of my favorite moments in this set of episodes when he re-encounters Midoriya after a very interesting whatever he walked in on.
Yeah, the vocabulary he uses too is so well thought out while he's scolding him.
So I think we're about to kind of catch up. Yeah, I think here we go.
This title didn't make any sense until I actually watched this, and I was like, okay, I get it now.
Yeah.
So, and then we get to kind of meet Miss Joke's class. And so this guy was super cool looking. I don't get how his powers would really work besides hardening stuff for other people to throw. So I was kind of looking at it kind of weird. You can't even control it. He just hardens other things, not himself. So it was weird.
I felt like he, in his pro days, is going to have to team up with the Boomerang Kid because them two together make a great team.
Yeah.
But on their own, I guess the Boomerang guy, if he had his own weapons and whatnot that were specially made for him, it would be cool. But this guy on his own, I don't know. Maybe not.
What did hardening the balls do? Do we know?
I think they were just gonna, throw it at him super hard.
Maybe because they go in the dirt. Is it to help them go in the ground so they wouldn't make it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know, because I was like, am I missing something with this one?
Yeah.
And then, like, I felt bad for this guy because obviously Kirishima took the hardening title, and so he got stiffening, which is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I mean, some people might see it as a good thing. There's you're right though. He has a great look. I do love this guy's look.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate he has a very kind of lame power.
Yeah. The very underwhelming quirks from all of this class. So.
The vibration guy is pretty good though. He can create earthquakes, so that's pretty amazing.
You can't control them though.
I mean, it just makes his body shake a little bit afterwards, but dude can cause an earthquake. I mean, you live in California too. You know how dangerous earthquakes can actually be.
Mariana's here.
Hi, Mariana.
This guy had a cool power too, though, because the way he winds up too, I watched this like 4 times. I'm like, it's super awesome.
If he has to do this though every time, like I have to do this crazy pose. It's like, dude, people are not gonna wait for that shit. They're gonna just punch you right in the face pretty quickly.
It was interesting. And then they're like under the ground, the hardened balls, whatever, going all over the place. And
they're stiff balls. Thank you.
Okay, stiff balls. Yeah, underneath the ground, like going around, and everyone else is freaking out. They like lose all their superhero like training, and then Jiro just steps up and like kills it. But it was just like crazy to me.
I think a lot of them just didn't know, like they didn't have an answer to something coming from under the ground. It's not something that they've encountered before. Yeah. And it was one of those things where like, wait a second, he can throw stuff, but underground, it just doesn't, like the first time I saw it, I'm like, that doesn't even compute in my mind. How is that working? So I get it.
I think this is a combo because they started throwing more stuff and then she saves him, and then this just looked cool. So
I loved Deku instantly comments on the fact that he renamed his ability, and it's much easier to say and it sounds cool.
Yeah, it's very. And then another quirk.
Power.
This is a weird quirk. Like
I was like, what? No.
The problem with these weird quirks is like the weird quirks with the weird characters we see like 5 episodes. We don't get to see actually how that goes in action. Because like, what is that? I have questions. When telescopic, does she go into herself? Does she go out?
I was thinking that too, right? She must also be able to extend her like midsection super tall or something.
Because if there's no out, then what are we doing?
President Mike does say that her body can act like a turtle and go into itself. He says absolutely nothing about it going the opposite way.
Yeah.
Which when I think of telescopic, I don't think of it going in. I think of things starting in and going out. Right?
Yeah. It's just an odd quirk.
I think a lot of this stuff, though, too, a lot of these quirks were made specifically for the specific scenes that they pop up in the story. And I don't think Horikoshi was like, all right, let me see. 20 years from now, this is what this person's power is going to be like in their prime, when they're like 29 or 30 or however old they'll be.
Yeah, and it shows you there's all different types, too. Like the one coming up that drinks tea to enhance her IQ is like the weirdest thing, too. So
that made actual sense to me, though. I will say, because like if your ability is super intelligence, you're not going to be in the thick of the battle. I mean, once you're a part of an agency, you just stay at the office and people report in with you and you just do all your stuff and you're safe, and you just basically give orders over like earpieces and stuff and done.
This part is when Deku's like analyzing everything happening and everything that's going on and trying to figure out a plan.
I'm sorry, I just had to put that up there.
Oh, honey.
And then Aizawa makes the comment that UA kind of sees in the future and all that stuff. And Miss Joke actually slams him back and says, every kid who's out there right now in every school wants to be a hero too. It doesn't have to be just the brightest stars aiming for the top. And so this is when you get to see Yo Shindo, which is the coolest name ever, like shine for a little bit.
He has a cool look too. I dig his look.
I like him better with not his happy face.
So on Shindo for a second. Do you guys realize that he's within like the top 10 popularity of every character in this show and manga?
Mhm.
Is he really?
Yes, it makes no sense. I have like a Discord going on with like some friends that like are reading manga at the same time, and remember that steampunk splash page that kind of went out? Okay, that was 10 characters, all the top 10.
Yeah, usually he does those big splash games for the top 10.
Shindo was in there.
Oh, was he?
Shindo's apparently like he's way too high. If he's in 10, he's way too high.
Can I posit a theory? I want to say a lot of anime manga readers and characters love those tiny vests. Think about Gogeta and any of the fusions from Dragon Ball. They all have tiny little poof vests. His vest reminded me a lot of that, and I'm like, oh, maybe
He
the
does,
vest with no shirt is like a big thing for people.
Right. Midriff they're all about the midriff. They also have like just a black-haired Bakugo a little bit. Like that face right there that you're
Yeah.
I mean, he's that blonde, and there we go.
I think that's our answer right there.
But the weirdest thing to me about it is like how long ago was this in the manga? Like 2 years ago?
God, so long ago. So long ago.
Still in 2020, like in that, like that.
Let me tell you though, once it's out there, it becomes instantly now people start writing fanfic. You get like AU stories, like all these things. I guarantee you this character has a life of his own, like on Twitter or wherever people post this stuff. And probably some terrible stuff. Because like Hawks, most of what I see of Hawks these days has nothing to do with the story. It's all alternate universe. Him with like Tamora and kids. Like I don't know. Like I've seen weird stuff. Like yeah.
Okay.
The internet's a strange place.
That is an understatement.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that. This was awesome.
This was like it was really sweet. And I had to take this because of the chicken.
Whoa! There's a chicken and a cat.
Yeah, but the chicken has like the targets on it made it look really goofy. I was like, oh, the chicken kid.
Chicken kid.
But this is funny because he just wants to battle them. Obviously, he's way better than 120 other people down below, and he vortexes up all of their ammo and just slams them all down with their own stuff. It's like amazing.
So while I was watching this, I was thinking, like, okay, so he took all of their balls because basically he just caused, like you said, a vortex on the bottom, bringing the balls up to the air, and then slamming them back down on them. I'm like, they must have cameras on everybody to kind of see that he was the one who did it. Because I thought the reason why they all had 6 balls was it had to be their balls that hit the targets to knock them out. But he used all their own ammo. So maybe it was like one of those things where, like, I mean, he took out 120 students, just give it to them kind of thing. But I thought they had to use their own balls.
I don't think so. I think they can actually even caps them, and then I don't know what it is. It's sort of high tech, as President Mike said. They're super high tech, so they just do what they're supposed to. I don't know. A lot of questions.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Do we want to know what this is? I don't. You know what?
This is just the fanfic stuff on my Twitter timeline is just real. I follow a lot of artists that I like their art, and they draw a lot of My Hero characters, but that's usually because they also have a fanfic zine that they're working on off on the side that has like every character in a relationship, you know? And so unfortunately I see that all the time. But really nicely drawn.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
And this is just them getting pummeled.
Bombarded.
I love Renata, by the way. I wish that he had a bigger part in this because he probably would overtake like being my favorite character. I just love how aggressively friendly he is and passionate. Like, I don't know. Aggressively
friendly, passionate, badass costume. I mean, I love his costume. And his power is unbelievable. Dude has a great, strong power.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he annihilated this challenge. It was made for him.
Yeah. I actually really want to see him and Shoto together, like off doing stuff. Because I feel like fire, ice, and wind are just like kind of made for each other in a way that would be great.
They got some stuff to hash out, I think. But
yeah.
Yes.
Just a little
Well,
bit.
they kind of hash that out by the end of this.
Yeah.
We'll go back to Deku now, who's kind of dealing with the aftermath of being split up from everybody and realizing he's by himself and will not probably survive being by himself out there with everybody trying to get them and attack him. So also knowing that he's a first year and he's thinking back on thinking back to the Wind guy later, that he's a first year as well, but stronger too.
That's right. I forgot how this came up. I'm like, why is this like now staggered after a Deku scene? But you're right. That's him thinking about it.
Yeah, I only took this because I missed it last time. So there you go. That's just for you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks for that one specifically.
Yes. So he's excited that he's going to actually get to fight some stronger people. And this slowly turns into terror as he gets basically clipped from behind by somebody. So this whole scene was like hard to catch because she was so quick on everything that there wasn't much motion. Like there was a lot of motion. And then her describing how she's like hiding herself was really cool, but really hard to like capture.
It's interesting because, I mean, okay, again, this is a rewatch. So if you're going through this for the very first time with us, you might want to tune out for like a couple minutes because it hasn't happened yet. But everybody who's here has watched this already, read this, whatever. But the fact that she is not who she is, she is who we know her to be. I don't know of Toga using that ability to just disappear from plain sight outside of this battle again. Do we see Toga ever do that? Like use that ability?
She's pretty like quick and like sneaky.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just part of her like some kind of technique she learned. I don't know. But the way she explains it is that she like can make her like stop breathing enough where like catches them to like think she's gone, but she's not.
Yeah.
Really
it made it sound like it's it's a skill she kind of picked up. Like it sounded like something you learn in like ninja assassin training or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't remember. Toga is very much a like outspoken, commanding presence type of person in a way that I always don't associate her with stealth. So when Cammy starts disappearing and, knowing that it is not this character, it is Toga, it's like, it's interesting to think of if you remove the veneer and you just see Toga doing this stuff, if it matches up with the character we know Toga to be like later on. And it just didn't seem right. I mean, the fighting, sure, because Toga does move around really well. She fights really well. She's super fast. But that disappearing bit was interesting.
We summoned James. We're talking about Toga.
But that's totally what happened.
Yeah. Yeah.
He is. Talking about Toga and special guest. He likes oranges, Steph.
I know, I do too. So it's okay. He's perfect.
And I love that he likes passion.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we get to see where the other characters are at, and Ochako's thinking that she needs to find everybody else as well. So I'm glad that all of them are kind of on the same page where they know that they need to get back to the group and try to figure out how they're going to organize and pass this test together. This is going back again to her explaining the disappearing, and kind of she catches Deku off guard and basically tackles him to the ground to explain all this information. And then she wants to know why he wants to be a hero, because she wants to know like what's going on. Obviously she finds him fascinating, so she wants to know why he's on the good side, not the bad side. And so it's kind of entertaining.
Yeah. Their whole interaction is entertaining, knowing what we know, like I think the very first time you're watching it, I was like, damn, this girl is into him, and why? Like, this is very interesting. But by the time this came up on the anime, I was already reading it, so I already knew who she turned out to be. And I remember when like the very first episode of this ended, and like every cosplayer in existence was dressing up as this character and all that stuff. I'm like, do you realize that is not who you're dressing up as, kind of thing? But yeah,
I was thinking that like these transforming characters really have a thing for Deku for some reason. I like wondering how would Mystique react to Deku? Because
Totally into it.
yeah, apparently.
And just her whole questioning of even later on, I think because we know from the manga, like her idea of being obsessed with two very, very good people and not knowing why she likes them so much. It was interesting dialogue for the most part.
I agree, especially because of some of Toga's like more recent stuff in the manga, and we'll go into it in detail. It's like it kind of parallels with this in a very interesting way because she has this almost exact same conversation with another character for a different reason. And yeah, I forgot that she had this kind of exact questioning for Deku this early on.
Mm-hmm.
And James almost bought a Bakugo, and he should have bought it if he could have. So
the answer is always yes. Buy the Banpresto.
Speaking of Banpresto, I'm seeing like Demon Slayer Banpresto now at Target and stuff like that. I never in a million years that would I have thought.
I have 2 of them, so yeah.
There was a new Nezuko statue that I just saw, the black and white like render of so far that looked really cool. I think it's a new Banpresto. It's her like jumping over stuff, but as like not her jumping over the log as the little Nezuko. It's still little Nezuko, but it's her like doing like a backflip over something. Which is really cool.
I haven't seen that, but
I'll send it to you after this. I also loved him be like, dodge.
He's like a montage of dodging, and I just like, oh my goodness.
So this little clamp thing under him, we see this a lot in this cluster of episodes. Who is doing that?
Someone has that quirk.
And
Punches it later.
What is that? Like, what? I had so many questions about that. Yeah.
I need to know who has the spider webs. Like, who shoots the webs?
A lot of questions.
Yeah.
And he's kind of thinking back on, like, because he's trying to run away and do stuff. He doesn't want to hurt himself. Oh, this is when Ochako falls.
Yes. This is when he sees Ochako falling. And he's like, I need to run away, but she's going to get injured if I don't do anything. I should save her.
So he kind of thinks back on all this. If he had taken better care of himself and his powers, he would have been able to prevent these 2 events from happening. So in his mind, he comes up with a better way of they're dissing on Endeavor. I have his Banpresto. It's perfect.
I jumped in there. I'm not letting anybody Endeavor. That's not happening.
You will plate those words and eat them, James.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I lost my train of thought. This whole process where he catches her and like saves her and knocks all this stuff out of the way was probably the coolest Deku moment I've seen in a long time.
It was badass to extreme degree. Yeah.
Also, like you use your shoes.
I don't remember his shoes. I mean, I remember that there's something to them besides them just being steel. But I forgot that they like kind of like cock back like a shotgun almost and like shoot again, so they hit twice, which is kind of crazy.
I think it's the cushion, like the kicks and stuff. It's like a, what do you call it? I don't know.
Like a recoil thing, I guess.
Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah, like I'm glad you actually explained that because I was trying to figure out like what does he mean by that. I was picturing him like kicking and then like flicking his ankle or something like that. Is that? But there's actually like a shotgun kind of thing in his foot.
Yeah, it's so it hits with the impact. So his initial impact hits once, but when it does, that piece goes in and then it shoots back out with the same force. So it really is creating a second hit of the same amount of force afterwards, which is kind of crazy because like they show him like moving to kick a wall and then the thing hits again and then it destroys the wall. Like that was kind of a weird way to illustrate what it is.
I guess that's why I got a little thrown off, but yeah, I mean,
yeah, I agree. I don't think that they did it well in their explanation in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and I think they only have a few people passing so far because the first one was obviously the wind guy, and then they were kind of going through the thing. His reactions to this, like when he's like, "Oh, it's a lot," that's nothing. It's like up and down, like for the episodes, it's amazing.
This guy's awesome. I will say I resonate really well with this very sleepy, very just like, oh, can we just get through this, please? Kind of character, because this is like me on the inside every day, every minute, and I just love that in this guy. I don't know why. I like him.
He's awesome. This facial expressions for this is like, I think this is the point. Even watching this the first time, I'm like, that's not her.
Yeah,
Like you kind of like get this feel, and then her inching closer with that to basically take Deku out of the game, and him knowing is like super cool too.
yeah. I liked his whole reasoning for why. It was like, yeah, she's better than this. Like,
Yeah.
she wouldn't have tripped and fall, and like without using her ability, she wouldn't have just announced herself to all these villains. Like,
Mhm.
she thinks about these things. Like, she's way smarter and way more capable than you played her to be.
And that even she realizes too, she's like, well, if you knew it wasn't her, why'd you save me anyway? And then
Yep.
he's like, I don't know. That's just kind of a good answer.
Yep.
I
I was
mean-
just like, where's the boundary?
Yeah. For what? When do you stop saving someone? No.
I also don't understand her. Okay, so she's naked here. Let's call it what it is. Like completely naked, but yet she has a discoloration
Mm-hmm.
here, like where like she would be wearing a full bodysuit. And I wonder if that's just for like a rating in terms of like anime, like that way they don't have to say she's naked. Like, no, she technically has a thin layer of something on.
I was gonna say in the manga, was she naked for this part? It's like
Hard to tell
Yeah.
if he drew in a line. I can't remember.
Is
Okay.
Toga lighter skinned too?
Hmm.
I think they all pretty much the same tone, right?
I don't know.
No, that's a good point though. 'Cause, like,
It's
That
just weird.
Maybe
I don't think that her quirk works that way, right? I mean,
Yeah, it was just weird to me that like it looks like she's wearing a bodysuit, but yet they reference multiple times about her being naked, and I'm like, not that I need to see this character naked or anything. It's just it's a weird thing that is jarring to me. That I'm like, why is she wearing like a
they could
body-
have just as well not said that she was naked, and we wouldn't be talking about it right now.
exactly, exactly.
Oh, and then the tape shows up out of nowhere to separate the two of them from fighting, and then Sarah asks him.
Leave it to James to know the answer.
That is a
That makes
really
sense.
specific thing to know, James.
After his first comment, like go up one.
Oh, the hubba hubba, yeah.
Yeah, and then he talks about it later.
Yes,
Yeah, that's true.
but they cover her up with
Magic.
stuff. Right? Yeah, like that makes sense. Like this is like there's clearly a color tone shift on her neck
Mhm.
to wear a bodysuit. The same thing with her wrists, and it's interesting.
It's almost like like Midnight wears.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's exactly it. Like because Midnight does wear that same color, and they don't they give her cuffs and whatnot, but we've seen her tear it open. So like the very first time you see it, you think that it is like a film or something like that, like Midnight, but it's not because
I just assumed it, but then they went out of their way to say that she's naked. But yeah, they should have just not said that she was naked because she's not.
Mhm.
Yep. James is looking bad. Okay.
That's the line. Instead of saying, "Why is this always happening to you?" Uh-oh.
Yeah. It is. It does seem to be inevitable for him. He's in these awkward situations.
Yeah.
Mm.
And then she's like pouting because now there's people interrupting because I think Ochaka's there too now at this
Yep.
point. So, and then she tells him that, and she's like, looks at him like, "Why are you saying this to me?" And then they get back to it where he's like making sure it's them, and then explains why, and then
Yeah.
their reactions is the best thing ever.
But
Yeah,
Sarah, my favorite part was like Sarah was like, "But was she naked too? Like was
Yeah,
she
like
as
Ochako.
Ochako and naked? Like what?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Sarah,
He was like freaking out. It's too much for Deku.
Incredible. Well, it's too much for all of them. I mean,
Yeah.
again, they're like first year of high school, right? So like 13,
Yeah.
14.
And he explains like, no, she was in her uniform. Like it was like not a big deal.
Yeah.
And then we get to, I think this is like the end of this episode too. It's like when we get to finally what Shoto's doing. And he's hearing all the people passing. And he's like, well, I gotta not hide out and wait. I'm gonna have to actually fight some people and get my position.
This was an interesting squad he found himself up against too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was very intrigued by the differences in schools where some were like, no, you guys all got to dress like ninjas. I'm sorry. I know you all want your own individual super suits and everything, but no, we are the ninja school. We only have you different colored ninja outfits. The end. Or you're wearing all white sailor looking suits and the end. Like, it's very interesting. And yet some of them can wear very unique individual hero outfits.
Yeah.
And we only have enough ninjas in this school for as many colors as there are.
That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody has to have a unique color. Everybody has to have a very generic power, except for like 2 people. Everyone else, you shoot fire, you shoot water. It's like everybody does like a one.
This is the anti-Todoroki school.
Yes.
Yeah, like it's literally, I can't think of other colors besides that. I mean, maybe white, but yeah, it's like they hit every.
Well, there's purple over there on the side.
Yeah, they got like one of everything.
Yep. It's funny. It was very weird. The whole time I was like, but why are they wearing those outfits? Like, I don't get it. Unless they like purposely are like, we will forever be a superhero team together and we will always look like this. And like that was their decision to all look the same going into this, not the teachers.
Well, now they dug themselves in a hole.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think we'll ever see them again. I mean, they got knocked out of this provisional license.
That is true.
And also, very Naruto-y headband was very funny to me. The Baymax Naruto school.
I literally thought that fight with these guys was a whole episode, and then I'm like, well, it ended rather quickly.
Yeah, 30 minutes, right?
Yeah. So, because this is the end, this is them like getting basically frozen for the first time, and then Todoroki realizing that they prepared for the fight with him.
Yeah, they have tungsten weapons.
The enlarging this stuff though is a cool power. It's
that is a really cool power, and that's like something I wish that I don't know. I wish that quirk was used for somebody else because it's so cool. They could have done somebody else like that.
I can see them having the main guy show up again because he's the only one who really talks. He's the one who brought the tungsten weapons. He's the one who prepared for Todoroki, and he has that growing ability. I can see him showing up again. I don't see him showing up again with like 30 ninjas or whatever, or 10 ninjas, however many they said there were.
No,
because even his nails were really cool. Like
it's really smart, and like Ant-Man. Hello, take notes. By the way.
Yeah.
Yep. Well, I don't think Ant-Man wants to kill people, but yeah.
I don't think he was gonna kill him. He just gonna bombard
He threw
him.
a nail the size of like a Mack truck at the kid and made it.
He's fine.
Yeah, because he banked on him being capable, but had he like sneezed in the middle of that kid is getting impaled. You know? I need to know what's this? What happened? Oh my gosh, the chat is having a panic attack.
She has like 8 messages that are duplicated.
Oh wow. Oh yeah, she does. Okay, I didn't go back and see that.
Yeah. So
there's a toga in the chat.
There's a toga in the chat?
Yeah, because this toga is trying to be Mariana.
Oh,
I see what you're saying. Yes, clever.
Then we get to class 1A.
The episode ends with these guys?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It ends and then it goes right into it, but like this is over right even before like the intro song.
Okay. All right. Well then, whoa, this is a weird look. All right. Hey.
Back up.
Well, I actually kind of like it better than the 3 squares of kind of staggered. This way I can kind of be like, oh, this way. Dan, so what was your favorite moment of this episode?
I don't know. I mean, the Sero. I gotta go over here, right? All right, Sero. This is weird. Can we?
Okay, yeah, sure. Here.
There we go.
So Sero overreacted with his face. Like, just I lost it. That is hilarious. I don't know. That was my favorite.
Okay. I did like that moment a lot. It was really funny. His reaction was gold in a way where it's like, there's a lot of perverts in that class, right? Well, by a lot, I mean really like two big ones.
Yeah.
And then I feel like Sarah always kind of reacts to them. And so like when he sees another student kind of looking like caught in one of those situations, like, or you're not with like Maneda and Kaminari, are you? Like, what's going on here?
I
like when he gets a moment of his own. We get to see his personality because we don't really get to see that a lot. So I guess that's why, silly as it is, like seeing him be his own person, that between two very main strong characters is
yeah. Steph,
I like the Deku moment where he saves her. Like that really like was surprising, and I forgot that he actually did all of that at once. And I'm gonna say it's a very Bakugo thing to do multiple things without actually thinking about it. And Deku's not one to just be like use his instincts, and that was actually pretty cool.
Yeah, he's usually very analytical in a way where you kind of see it all kind of play out. For me, I think it is very much. His name is Inasa. Is that his name?
Oh yeah,
the wind guy.
Yeah, the wind guy. Yeah. His whole his scene wasn't long, but it was one of those scenes where I was like, I think I got goosebumps even watching it again. I'm like, this guy is badass, and we don't see him like ever, and it sucks because he's awesome, and I really like him, and I like his energy, and it's really cool. And yeah, as you said, Dan, I think if he was in it more, he would be like one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, just but his archetype is in other animes that we're watching right now, so I think maybe it's Silver Boy.
That's true. He very much is Yuji Itadori in a lot of ways too, or more, I guess, Todo from that same series. But yeah,
he also kind of reminds me of Rengoku, just with how like Rengoku's very focused and super like happy all the time, and like I don't know.
I don't know enough about Rengoku because we don't have the movie or anything yet.
Well,
we don't see him much in the anime.
We saw Rengoku for like just a minute.
Yeah, I'm dying for that goddamn Demon Slayer movie. It's killing me.
It doesn't exist until it's here.
Oh, but it exists. I mean, I've seen again art. I've already probably have spoiled. Yeah, no, I know.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, it's such a tease because there's not even any kind of communication as to when it's coming over here. So
no, and just drop it in Japanese. No one needs a translation. Okay, make those people suffer and wait. I don't care. Put it out in Japanese. Get someone to subtitle it. Some nerd will offer to subtitle it like tomorrow in like 2 hours, guaranteed. They will sit there and write it out for you and have it done. Just let them do it. Just give it to them. But anyway, let's jump on to the second episode. Class 1A, which this episode is predominantly one that was just made for the anime. It didn't take place in the manga. Any of the stuff with Momo and her squad was not in the manga. So I actually imagined that whole scene, or at least I remembered that whole scene being an entire episode. But we actually do get bookends on either side, I think, of like some stuff from the manga as well. So it's kind of cool. We get a little extra battle thrown in to kind of show where some of the other kids were during this.
Yeah.
I think it's nice also to not focus on just the main like four. So let's be good.
This right here, they're working on the dub. Exactly. I don't need that. Just put it out. Put it out.
Again, I'm not a dub hater. I've heard the dub for Demon Slayer, and I'm not a fan. So
I'm not a dub hater either. I'm like, hey, you like it? By all means, I'm going to judge you, but I'm not going to watch it. But that's fine. You're going to watch it. You're still enjoying the anime. That's awesome too. I have my one problem with the dub of things is that when I recommend a show like My Hero, for instance, I am recommending it based on the Japanese voice actors. There's a certain way that they say things. There are certain inflections in their voice. There are certain honorifics and things like that, the way how they say stuff, that like that's part of the reason why I love the characters is the way how they inflect that stuff. So when I recommend something, I recommend it in the way that I watched it, which happens to be the sub. But like we have talked about other anime in the past, like Dragon Ball, I'll watch dub or sub. I don't care. I like them both.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop. I've never watched the Japanese version. I've only ever watched the dub, and like
Really?
how that is.
It's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
So
yeah, but I will say, and I don't know if it's because I have seen the dub and like I have friends who are dub people.
Yep.
And like that's how I kind of got involved with the anime, and it's good. It's not bad as far as dubs go, and probably if you start in subs, you can't listen to it dubbed.
yes, that was it. It was really like I started it subs. I've been watching a sub for years. By the time where I think it was season 3. I clicked on an episode and just started up in a dub, and it took me like 2 seconds before I was like, "Wait, what is happening? Why does everybody sound so weird?" And it didn't even click that they were speaking a different language because, like, I don't know why. It was just more like that is not what Midoriya sounds like. What is this?
Midoriya's voice is way different, but everybody else is like, I don't know.
It's weird to me that All Might is Vegeta. I cannot hear him as anybody besides Vegeta, really.
Problem is that voice actor, I forget his name, but he does so much shit. So,
Sabat is Goku, right? So that's not.
Yeah.
And Sabat's Vegeta, isn't he?
Is he?
I can't remember.
I think Goku's
Chrissy says the Jujutsu Kaisen dub is terrible. Yeah, we talked about that.
I like it.
What?
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
I don't watch it dubbed, but when I listened to it, it wasn't bad.
I can't do Yuji's voice. It is so.
See, Gojo's doesn't bother me. That was the one I was.
Gojo is the only voice that they actually did right. Everyone, and I listened to. I actually went out of my way to hear how Nanami sounds. They butchered him. Yeah, it's not.
You want to hear a bad one? You need to watch Haiku in English. That is the worst.
I see, and this is one that I actually peaked at in English, and I started there. And again, that was my first exposure to the anime. I listened to the dub, and it sounded normal to me because I hadn't heard anything else.
Right. If your first exposure to something is through the dub, it's going to be the dub is the proper version, or it's going to sound fine to you either way. Yeah. If you start it in sub and then you get like a couple episodes in, it's going to be weird to go back to a different voice actor because it's a different voice coming out of a character you know, and when you know somebody, you know what they sound like, right? So it's weird.
And Mariana said actually Bleach dub is good. See, that's
it is good.
I have a problem with that one because I watched it subbed for so long.
Yeah.
Ichigo is just Johnny Young Bosch, and Johnny Young Bosch is also Bash.
Yes.
And I can't separate the two. So
well, it's like what Steve Bloom, he did Spike and Cowboy Bebop. He does like a lot of voice acting, and he kind of always sounds like himself to me. Like I always know when it's him, and so when I hear him as another voice, like I'm like, I don't know. It's like I'm taken out because I'm hearing Spike come out of a different character, and it's like it just doesn't seem right.
No.
You know, what's Archer is John H. Benjamin? Is that?
Johnny Benjamin,
yeah.
He does the voice forever. I've heard like Aqua Teen, he was the Mothman. Archer, home movies.
Dr. Katz.
Yeah, Dr. Katz, which that's what another thing I was screaming in my car. It's like, it's Dr. Katz.
Yeah.
Last week when I was listening. He just used the same voice over and over again with Bob's Burgers.
But him, because I don't know, maybe because his voice is so unique in a way, it doesn't bother me that he plays all those roles.
No, not at all. I mean,
but Steve Bloom's also very unique, but it does kind of bother me when I hear him like in everything, because he always shows up in like Naruto as a background character, and I'm like the same. I like when I hear him as like 3 different background characters, I'm like, that is the same person to me. Like you can't. He has such a unique voice. You can't use him interchangeably. That's not something that can be done.
Yeah. I mean, the voices that he does are really good, and they fit whatever character they decide to put it with. But they are kind of all the same.
I think Christy kind of nailed it here. It's like English versions can be good for newer anime watchers, and for sure. And like when I got into anime, it was because it was like I could watch this cartoon in English, it's fine. And then it was one of those things where eventually I started watching enough where I was like, oh well, Dragon Ball Super is out, but it's not out in dub yet. But I really want to watch it because I need to know what's happening with Goku and friends. And so I was like, all right, let me get past the fact that Goku isn't. Wow.
Now I don't know who it is.
I can't remember his name, but he's a, an 80-year-old grandma in Japanese, so it was like kind of like shocking. But then after a while, I got used to it, and I was like, oh, he's fine.
Yeah.
So
Anyway,
anyway,
we would not have anime. Like, we wouldn't be talking about My Hero on a Saturday night in 2021 if we didn't have Adult Swim Toonami block of English anime. So
yes,
let's be said about that.
it's very true. Absolutely. So, all right, let's get back to My Hero, though. Speaking of talking about My Hero,
that was a way tangent. Yeah.
No, tangents are good. Tangents are fine.
Oh, never mind. So this is kind of talking about the targets again. So about how they send the information. So maybe it's the target based, not on throwing. I don't know. I don't know how they know when somebody is throwing the ball. So I don't know.
They said about who passes and who fails. Yeah. So how do they know if you pass? I don't know. I don't know.
It's like Top Golf, I think. Like there's, I don't know if you guys ever did that, but there's like a chip inside, like a golf ball.
Yep.
Top Golf. Did we know what Top Golf is?
No.
Okay, so Top Golf is basically like a bowling alley, but golf, and it's like a big, wide open thing.
Okay.
And like it's just a driving range, and there are little microchips inside the balls, and everybody's microchip is tied to like whoever. Like it checks the distance, like how far you like hit it. I don't know. So maybe something like that.
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? Hey, you know what? Anime logic, comic book logic, whatever. I'm fine with it. So many people get hung up on things like to break talking about MAJ for a second again. People got hung up on Avengers Endgame a lot with time travel stuff, and I'm like, it's time travel. It's not real. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what could possibly happen, what could possibly happen there, this, that, what affects what. I don't care. I'm here for the fun. Just let me enjoy it.
Don't try to make fun of Trump try to make sense of time travel because you're just gonna make yourself look dumb. That's my rule.
Yep. Well, here we go back to talking about, we were talking about that IQ lady earlier on, and now we actually finally see her. And
this one other lady, her power is, and I'm wondering how she could see outside at the same time. Like it's like a surveillance quirk, which is like the coolest thing ever. It's like,
is it though? The coolest thing ever, Steph?
That's I thought it was a neat power. I'm like, wow,
it's single use. Come on. Yeah.
It works for this group. It's pretty cool for them.
Yeah. If you happen to be a part of this very specific group, well, once again, someone has a power specifically set for every instance that they need them in.
They always seem to need surveillance quirk types in these groups anyway, so it seems like a neat way to do it. So
yes, I mean, I will say, like, the two surveillance members of 1A that we see here have very unique, interesting quirks. The Jiro's is a little more easy to understand, where, Dupla arms is a very interesting concept to kind of, but wait, that's built for surveillance? Wait, huh?
Yeah, that works. And this is like her IQ working like a computer inside of her mind. So it was a good way to illustrate it too, of how she decides on.
I thought it's funny that you said that. I thought the exact same thing watching this episode, that I was like, this is a great method to kind of just show. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's right. This is the super IQ, super smart person, because we're getting that Zach Galifianakis in the casino scene in what is it? The movie with the three.
The Hangover.
Thank you, the Hangover trilogy, where he's seeing all like the mathematic equations circle around him and everything. Like you know what it means, right? Like you get it. It's a good way of visualizing it. Dan, you look like you had something to say. Say?
I said I heard that Alarm by the Way stuff.
I don't have a place to buy them around right now. They're all closed. So I live up in a weird place. I have to drive 2 hours to Home Depot. So I have to.
I'm going to send you a website.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy. It's called Amazon.
Also, just so you know, Home Depot does deliver. So Home Depot does have a website called homedepot.com.
They don't deliver down here. You guys have no idea. I live in like a weird place.
That's bullshit. Yeah. I call bullshit that Home Depot doesn't deliver to me.
No, actually, she's maybe not bullshitting, because we actually had to send her insulation board foam because we have she doesn't have. She literally does not have that around her.
I don't have like normal stores. We have a Target, and that's about as about.
You got to have like an Ace or something.
The
Yeah,
Ace
there's
here
always
is
a-
for-
there's
for-
There could be a
Oh.
local hardware store.
Hmm?
There could be a local hardware store that you can have them order that stuff for you.
I could see going there. Like every time I go in there, it's a nightmare. I wish I could like talk about it a little bit more because I know more about hardware than people like at here in my place.
We can't change it now because James has named it. So
Yep. Fire alarm, Sean.
And you know what? It doesn't go off at this time any other day of the week. It literally just goes like when we are doing this now, and I don't know why.
well, he's here to stay. So
I know.
All right.
All
Getting
right.
back to it. Oop. I don't know what happened there.
Oh, because Shoto won, so it's going back to the behind the scenes. And I thought it was super adorable because this guy's like, "Why are you even talking to me?" It's like he's just started a conversation without the other person's permission, basically. It was
Yep.
cute.
I love Anasa. I could like seriously. I could watch
like, I just can this person be real? Like, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
I kind of want to be like that.
I think I would hate him in real life, to be honest with you.
Yeah, maybe. He might be a lot, but
Yeah, I think that's it. I think he's a lot, and people who are generally a lot, I have a hard time dealing with. I'm like, you need at least this much chill in your life for me to be okay with you. But yeah, but I do like watching him on TV whenever I feel like clicking play on a TV show.
Mhm. He's cute. And he goes back to this because I think it's Todoroki looking around and seeing that no one else has passed it from Class A yet. So he's concerned.
Oh, we didn't have any of Todoroki's whole battle with the ninjas taking them down. With,
Yeah.
the explosion.
Did I skip a bunch?
I don't know.
yeah, there was like actually. It made me laugh because like he has this whole big fight with him. He takes him down. Like there's the guy with the sand and the water. Like
Yeah.
everything is very, very specific to Todoroki. And then he does this giant ice wall thing. That's his thing, right? And what else did he do? Did he do? Is there
He
something?
blew up a tanker. That's how
That's
he
right.
beat
Blew up
him.
the tank.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, that works.
It was a smart way of blowing up the tank, though. He like jammed it with ice to plug it, and then he
Mhm.
waited till they like saw because they followed his little flame ball to like, oh, that's Todoroki there. Let's go jump him or whatever. And they get there, and then he melts the ice. So then once the ice melts, and then explodes.
And then he freezes all of them. And my favorite part that like he like they're all incapacitated, and he holds a ball up, and he's like basically like, all right, it's time to win this, blah blah. And it cuts to the intro, but in my head, I'm picturing Todoroki going around and just booping everybody on the little spots with the ball. Very Todoroki like.
Yep, well, but he only needs 3, but he does it to everybody anyway, just to take them all out equally. Yeah.
Mhm.
So glad we covered that.
I have a feeling that they're jumbled and there's going to be there later.
Well, that'll be interesting to see
Mhm.
if they are. About Inasa, I completely agree with you, Mariana. That's
Yeah.
exactly yes. I had a friend like that in college, and yeah, he was perfect for parties. Not anywhere else.
I'll be his friend.
Great. Friend of one. He's your friend now.
So I think they came to this building to kind of look around and look for the other UA kids, right? Is what I gathered from this.
Which is a weird thing to be
Yeah.
like, hey, we were in that field where all the ground opened up and we all got thrown in different directions. Let's go inside this building that's on this other side of the thing and look from there.
Mm-hmm.
Why not?
And I think at this point in time is when they start their phase 1, which is turning on the radio, I believe, like
Yes.
super loud. And so Jiro obviously gets shocked because she's trying to listen through the floor at the people coming up the stairs.
Well, they do have that one person that you absolutely love their powers that can surveil on them and be like, she's listening through the wall right now. Hit the radio.
Uh-huh.
I feel really bad whenever Jiro gets like
Me too.
with the present Mike fight from
Yeah.
last season, and when like her little things bleed. I don't know. That really bothers me for some reason. I don't.
She gets like shot in her ear, doesn't she? In
Yeah,
this one?
because-
And that, like, I was like, oh god, no.
Yeah, because like that blood's coming from a ruptured eardrum. Like,
Mhm.
and you're just supposed to carry on now.
Yeah.
That's
And watching this again, I was thinking like, this is once again made for the anime specifically. Like, so was Horikoshi be like, Oh no, she totally is fine if she blows an eardrum during the first part of round 1 and goes into round 2 handicapped because you can't hear out of like half of her ear. Totally fine. Also, destroy her gauntlets that she uses to amplify her sound. She doesn't need that in part 2 either. I'm like, it was an interesting thing because I'm like, maybe she doesn't show up again. Maybe we don't get to see her in part 2 that much. Just assume that she wins somehow by saving people. But yeah, it was just a weird decision.
Yeah.
To be like, no, just destroy your eardrum. It's fine.
I'm sure Momo rebuilt her little hand things, though.
Yeah, but you can't rebuild an eardrum.
Your hand things will be fine.
Well, Recovery Girl can get in that eardrum, just like puckering her lips, like very specifically in the ear canal.
Well, I think her eardrum is dangling on the outside as an earphone jack because it was bleeding from the jack. So, like, I'm thinking that's like her eardrum on the outside that she plugs into walls.
I hate it. Yeah.
Painful.
I don't get this quirk. That's okay.
You know what?
Super slick.
Not as cool as surveillance.
Okay. On that note, let's just keep going.
I was pretty happy that I got this like right as it happened too, because I was like, how am I gonna showcase this? But she ran. She was trying to get to the windows, or the windows were breaking, so she was gonna attack them, and then they got her right then there too. I think. Dead shot. Very nice.
But also, she says maybe her parents are super into music. Maybe so her ears heal fast. That would be an interesting thing, but I feel like they should specifically call that out if that's the case.
Yeah.
I mean, Chrissy also agrees. Maybe I'm just looking into it too much. Maybe I'm the odd man out here.
Well, no, I mean, I'm thinking about it too, obviously, but like, but yeah, like, it's a very specific injury that she keeps getting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I don't feel like this is the last time it happens either.
No, I remember her getting that happen a couple times, but it is like one of those things that it happens, and then within like the next episode, she's not like, oh, don't forget my ear is still busted. I'm gonna be handicapped for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know. Again, I'm not gonna look into it too much. It's anime manga logic. I don't care as long as she's fine.
This is the Beyond show, though.
This what?
This is the Beyond show, though. We go beyond that.
This is true. This is why I like talking about it, but I'm not going to like. If the case is there's no answer to it, I'm also okay with it.
We'll do an Ultra Beyond about Jiro's earphones.
Just Jiro's eardrums beyond.
Yeah.
I mean, this is clearly the case. Her ears aren't like human ears either. So it's also, again, easy to write off that way.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's move on to the air vents. Sorry, I keep pulling that open. I don't know where my mouse is.
They broke all the windows so that Shoji can't see outside. And so they're kind of stuck in this room. And now the cold air has been pouring through.
And the cutest thing in the world happens?
Yes! We have to see the person with the quirk, which I don't know what the mask is for, but that works. So
it keeps her warm.
I guess. It's got a giant oven mitt.
I don't know if that's an oven mitt. As much as there's something that like obviously exhausts cold air.
It looks like a gun, but no,
Floppy goes into hibernation.
Yep.
I wonder if like she knew that this is something that happens too. It just seems like it would be like not something that she would be prepared for, being Floppy, that would know that there's something that she can do to stop this. So
I think she would be prepared for it, knowing if she was going to like a cold environment to fight or kind of do this thing. But the fact that this was like everybody, like Momo's fine, and she's wearing like a scarf pretty much as an outfit, you know, like if Momo's fine wearing a scarf, I don't think she has to worry about if it's going to get cold. But yeah, her going into hibernation, I think this is probably the first time us as the audience learned about this giant weakness that Floppy has. But she does become a swaddled little tiny Floppy that's adorable.
Yeah.
And I said in our chat, but I kind of want to be swaddled by Shoji the same way. It looks so comfy.
Good question, Christy. I don't know, but I'm just believing them and saying yes.
I think they do. They do. They gotta.
They do. They gotta. The end. The answer.
They gotta.
And I like how they were like, what do we do to warm her up? I don't have any place to plug it in. I don't have anything to do this and like go through everything. Oh no.
Love you.
What was that as the answer?
Yeah.
You're gonna let her swaddle you tonight? That's it? That's how it's going?
We're gonna go back to Froppy's blanket now.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, James is talking about frozen frog butts now, so let's just keep moving.
Oh.
So she's talking about blocking the air vents at this point, right?
Yes.
She's
She's
thinking
talking
of
about,
using her
how she would have to use her lipids to block the air vents, but it would end up using all of her, basically, what her powers she has left to do so.
Mhm.
I feel like she gave up now. It's fine that she did this, but I feel like she gave up a little early on the idea and just went straight to Clay. She was like, well, Clay's not going to work. Well, Clay's the only thing that'll work, but that's going to take too much time. Shit, what else do I do?
Yeah.
You could have just like made some like rectangles and just put them over the vents.
Yeah. Like some like low dense like foam or something like that can go up there and just block it.
For example, that got some stuff.
You gotta give her like this is a pretty tense situation.
Yes.
She's trying to like do everything. She's not as instinctual or even like analytical as a lot of the other characters. So for Momo, this is actually quite well thought out, and she's trying to figure out the best way to use herself and the team. So
yeah,
I'm gonna give her a break.
So
that is
Mariana says Momo needs to carry snacks or a protein bar. That's what that entire front pouch thing that she has on her is full of. It's like full of stuff for her to eat and snack on. Huh?
I thought it was just like an encyclopedia or something like that. Or
No, that's on her back. The encyclopedia is on her back. On that like little shelf that somehow magically stays there.
Again, we're not questioning things.
I'm pretty sure the front is all full of candy bars and things.
It would be smart, like the Flash.
Lunch.
Yeah. So I think after this thing, she realizes we're gonna go back to the cute one. And she's like, they're trying to make her use her quirk. At least she like knew that. Like she's like in her mind, she's like breaking it down. She's like, I'm the reason why this cold was happening. It's not anything to do with Froppy. They probably didn't know Froppy would hibernate. So it's like kind of those things. And in her mind, she's like starts thinking about the other characters and what they would do, like Shoto or Ida, like the other leader type characters. And then she settles on something that Midoriya says, whereas about saving the other people and not really thinking about the test or what else is happening right now, but really realistically just looking at the people in the room, which I think is
which, by the way, it's really upsetting that she keeps doing that because she's kind of proven herself already. Like she doesn't need to keep referencing her classmates. Like it's just such a shame because she's the smartest in her class, right? Like she doesn't really be looking at these other kids.
She lacks self-confidence though, and I get it. You know, like I resonate with that like deeply, and it doesn't matter how good she is from the outside looking at that. Like if you lack that self-confidence, it's going to be debilitating in a lot of ways, and you're always going to be comparing yourself to other people and only be seeing the other people succeed and not seeing where they fail and them referencing their classmates for things too. Like I think that's why we don't like linger with Bakugo referencing classmates, but he definitely pulls into a lot of like what he's seen and what he's learned in all of his moments. Like we'll see him build up Kaminari like later on because he does pay attention, but we just don't see him doubt himself in that way. This is kind of like Momo's big self failing, but she'll eventually come over it.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree with that because I feel like maybe all of us have some of that, and it's kind of good that they do that because it gives you a moment to be like, why are you doing that? And then you kind of look at yourself and be like, why am I doing that? So one of the things I like that this show does is
everybody is very personable in a way. Like I resonate really well with a lot of the kids in a lot of these situations.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lot for how young she is and everything. She doesn't have Bakugo's insane with drive and everything. Like he's probably beat on by his parents. Like, is at home. Like you have to be the best. Like I'll do all that stuff. Deku's been reading and watching superheroes. And he has this image in his brain of what needs to be done.
But he also does the same thing. He also, in every situation, thinks about like, well, how did this person do this and this person do that? And then he references it. But he does it from a place of confidence, not from a place of like lack of self-confidence. He's like, oh yeah, this is all the stuff I've learned has gotten me to this point. I can still pull from this stuff.
Yeah. But it's funny because like Shoto does the same thing too, where he thinks back to the other characters. His confidence level is not exactly higher than most either.
Yeah.
He just knows.
I mean,
more,
even Shoto walking away from beating a group of 10 ninjas was like, I got to get better at using both my quirks at the same time.
So.
I actually really just like this splash screen. I think it looks great.
It does.
Visually, it's a very beautiful just color. Yep. And James asked, like, quirk IQ, does that mean high IQ? Yes, when she drinks tea, she becomes super intelligent. She's already like really high intelligence. She has a 150 IQ normally. But when she drinks tea, specific teas give her different levels of intelligence. But she becomes I love the way President Mike actually said super, like he like accentuated on the word super intelligence.
And I like that everybody in her little team thinks she's so cool, and that I thought that was cute. Like they're very much think that she knows everything and it's going to be great.
Almost proved to be okay, but you know, Momo once again jumped back and thinking about how her classmates would do things and stood up for herself in a way.
I like how she's like also those are the three people that she deems the people that she would want to emulate too. She's not thinking about All Might or Aizawa or anything like that. She's actually looking to people that she regularly deals with and likes the way they take care of things. So she's going to think about them too.
Well, I think also a lot of it though too is like, you know, you look to your peers because they are in the same situation as you, right? Like you're like, okay, well, we're all in this test together. How would my, you know, one of my fellow students react in this? And like they always seem to kind of, you know, win out of these situations, but what's their mentality kind of going into it? A professional, like it's easy to be like, well, a pro has 10 years of experience behind it. That's how they get out of these situations. Like, no, how does another 15-year-old in the same situation handle this? So I think it's smart that she pulls from like her peers.
And I think it's also because she went with them that night too to save Bakugo, so that's like her real experience with team members and how that kind of stuff happened. Yeah, where Ida can draw from the whole stain thing, and like everybody has their different like memories of stuff that they're going to think about.
It's true, and she comes up with a pretty,
it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
I like that she flashes everybody too, and Jiro's like, "No, put those away."
Shoji's like, "Wow, turn around!
I need to unleash these headphones immediately."
Yeah.
And to kind of go back to what I was saying before about her doing the vents, like she probably could have done that and thought about that, but she also did say something to the effect of like she's never made this thing before, and it was gigantic and probably super heavy. So she was probably like, "I don't even have enough lipids to spare for like blocking vents. I'm just going to do this." So maybe that's what she was thinking at the time too. Kind of like, you know, just focus on that one thing of just getting them out of there because she blocked the vents. Now what? So
yeah, exactly. It doesn't give you a next step where this is very a proactive step, and clearly it's the right one when she realized, hey, they're waiting for us to basically run out of powers. So why not instead? They're clearly not looking for a fight. Why not bring the fight to them, kind of thing, and just force them into that situation that they're uncomfortable with?
Right.
Yeah. Good. You got the flashing scene. Well done.
Just like Jiro's face is like priceless because she's like, Momo is not caring right now. She's just trying to get everything going as fast as possible.
Yeah. There's a good chat happening about bubble tea, by the way.
Yeah.
Say. We have had bubble tea, no exaggeration, 4 times this week. Maybe 3. Yeah. We just we found a place and like that's been every night. Bubble tea? You're doing bubble tea? And yeah.
I have never had it. So.
Behind the scenes.
I find it gross, but I know I'm in the minority.
I've never had it. My sister loves it, but I'm like,
It's you got to find a good place because if you the first time I had it, it was not good, but we found a place. So
There's a lot of places out here in California, like Southern California especially, that do it and apparently do it well. I mean, Eva looked at me like I had 18 heads when I said I do not like bubble tea. But it reminded me of, okay, Steph, you might know because you're closer to my age than I think Dan is, but like, do you remember that drink Orbs? That was like in a glass that kind of like paired out the bottom, but had like little floating gelatin orbs in it.
Yeah, like a long, yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is like middle school for us, I think. And I used to love that during that time. And that was kind of the same deal. It was like these little gelatin things in this like, but as an adult, I can't think about little balls of tapioca or whatever. I'm like, no. I don't want to like feel like I'm eating like tadpole eggs or something.
Oh, well, now you ruined it. Thanks.
Bowie.
Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness. So. I didn't take this because all their powers are ridiculous.
Yep.
I don't know how it is, but like, yeah, what is going on? All of these.
A lot of them have tentacly powders.
Yeah.
Powers. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll leave it at that because this is pretty much the most we see of them.
Yeah, and then they do like they start hearing like the noise and the vibrations come through, and she's like, "What's going on?" And we find out that they made a giant speaker basically for Jiro to do her thing, basically enhanced heart distortion.
I like also throughout this entire scene, Froppy looks like she's been like punched in the head repeatedly or whatever. Like her droopy, but it's only like droopy one eye through the whole thing.
I know, but I couldn't even imagine like being like forced to like pass out and then wake up and be like, "What is going on right now?"
You have to fight like instantly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very frog-like, like blinking with one eye and the other.
Her tongue is
very. That's also very true. Good point.
Mm-hmm. And then during this time, like they get out there, everybody's knocked out except for obviously the IQ girl knocks Momo in there. She's gonna at least pass. If anything, she wants to at least be the one to pass. And then Momo had just enough to make. I don't get the handcuffs besides to keep her still for a little bit longer.
So I actually thought this part was pretty cool because we usually see Momo make things and just like they kind of fall out, but she made the handcuffs and used them at the same time.
Yeah, I thought the same thing. Yeah. It was interesting that she can, I guess, control where they pop out, like how they pop out in a way that she could be like, okay, no, handcuffs, I want one part of it on me and I want the other part on her wrist, like this exact positioning. It's like, yeah, they don't do that ever again. I don't think we don't see her do that kind of thing.
But it reminded me of a character we meet later on. I mean, rewatch, I guess we can talk about.
Yes.
Yeah, so Lemillion, how they explain how his power works, going in a wall, unfreezing himself, and then like
propelling himself out.
Yeah.
How
he controls his quirk and going through walls and stuff, which I'm sure we'll go into detail later. But like, it reminded me of this because she's making it, it's on her, and then she's connecting it to her. I don't know. It was such a simple thing, but like, I don't know. It impressed me because it's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way.
Mm.
There's no flashing for that one.
So, and here's the IQ girl just dumbfounded that the other students came back in to rescue Momo, make sure she's okay. Yeah. She's like, "What? Didn't you think she failed or whatever?"
Yeah, and the fact, poor Froppy.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's the other eye this time too. But I think this is the only Froppy moment we got really is like her stopping her from doing anything else. And they basically talk about how their friendship is worth more than a test and everything like that. And that's how UA, or not even UA, just Class 1A works, is they're going to stick together.
Yeah, I don't think Class 1B is the same way.
It might be.
Not with Monoma.
Yeah. He's bringing them down.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he is.
Down.
Yeah.
Oh, and then Shoji thinks back on this moment too, because that's his relation, like back to somebody telling him something, or he's like, well, that's a really great idea. I'm going to take that to heart, and that's going to be the way I'm going to think about things from now on.
Mm-hmm. Can we imagine what it could be like to be in Telly though for a moment here? Your entire power is to be smart. and Momo was smarter than you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not smarter, unpredictable.
Yes.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But
Which
like,
I think that's the whole thing, right?
And I guess in a sense, like you should not be able to be outsmarted, basically, with that quirk.
You'd hope at least. Yeah, but like I think that's the whole thing, and that's kind of like the whole thing about intelligence versus people who you can't read. Like there are people that who's you might be able to plan for everything. This is how like kind of chess plays out too. You got to see the board like 10 moves ahead. However, humans are unpredictable in nature. I mean, some people are very predictable. Some moves are very predictable, but people could still like throw a curveball in there and swerve the whole game within like a second. And that's kind of what Momo did by creating a speaker instead of solving the air conditioning issue.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, we join now back to, so I will tell you, I did make the splash screen for the episode Aoyama because Dan is with us this evening, but I almost made it Meatball Kirishima because that is just a great, gross scene. Yeah.
I do not like that.
The dialogue of them climbing up the ladder, them yelling at Kaminari, both of them are like, why the hell are you with us? Like, what are you doing? And he's like, I didn't want to be lonely. You took off running and I just ended up chasing you and then I got stuck. Basically, he's like, did not mean to go, but it's a good thing he did.
It was a very good thing he did.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't turn into a Cronenberg horror nightmare like everybody else.
Yeah. Which they walk over there and Bakugo's mad that he followed him. And then this part like threw me off because Bakugo's usually pretty good about things coming out of nowhere to get him, that Kirishima like pushed him out of the way to like basically save him and turned into his little meatball self. It was a little thrown off by that.
You were thrown off by the fact that Bakugo didn't see the meatball coming?
Mm-hmm. So
I think he was busy yelling at Kaminari too. Like he was taken off guard by having this third person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this exact image is what I was thinking making the scene. This Cronenberg Kirishima.
His teeth are everything.
Yeah.
It's just gross. It's gross in all senses of the word. And the fact that they still feel pain and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god. I think I hate this even more now because I hated it the first time around. But now with Jujutsu Kaisen and Mahito, his power being similar to this, and knowing what's going on, like I'm picturing that, and it's making me hate it even more. And then Christy actually pointed this out before in the chat. She just said, "Quirk reminds her of Midi from Made in Abyss." Steph, I know you watched Made in Abyss.
Yeah.
I've never heard of it.
Okay. God. So there is a character who I'm not going to say everything that happens, but there's a character that is basically this.
The ball of goop that is correct
in another anime, yes.
And the backstory as to how that character got that way is heartbreaking in a sense. Like and this is not for like, oh, I'm too manly to cry, but like I don't typically cry during movies, shows, games, whatever. I don't.
Yeah. No,
I don't know why. That backstory almost did it. Like, and it
almost, but didn't.
Me even more.
Too manly. Oh, it almost broke you.
Honestly, it's not because of that whatsoever. I am not above that. I wish that I could because it means that like that piece of media means that much more to you if you can cry. So like, I don't know, just haven't had that. And this, like, the backstory for Midi, that almost did it. Yeah, please.
Do you have like little gross fingers like this sticking out?
It's a whole nother kind of.
I could grab the Nendo piece if you'd like to see.
Yeah, there's a Nendo piece.
Yeah, but okay. Yeah. Basically, yeah. It's just a little ball of mush.
Like Meatball Kirishima.
Yeah, poor Kirishima. Yeah. Then he's like, they're talking about how do you want to know how I did this? And Bakugo's like, no, I don't want to talk right now. I just basically know that this guy did do it, so I have to stop him, which was about as true as it needed to be. And then we go back to them. So I think we go back and forth between these two fights.
So is this the same episode? I thought this was the next episode, but I guess
No,
not.
there's just so much happens in this episode. It's like
Yeah.
goes back and forth. The
Yeah.
next one is just
I think this is what I was talking about. Like I thought the Momo stuff was a whole episode. I forget that there was like this bookend on either side of like more stuff.
Yeah, it's a good thing that we got to do this next one because that would have been a weird.
Oh yeah. No, I made the wrong call thinking it was this week.
Mhm.
That guy has a weird look.
I dig it.
yeah. That's why I froze. I was like, this is awesome looking. I like that they're thinking about it too. Sarah and Ochako were super smart during this too, like how they were going to use their quirks together to try to fight off more than the people around because all three of them want to pass, so they need 2 people apiece. So they have to take down, what is that? I don't even know. 6?
There was a lot of
Other
students there.
individuals? Yeah.
Also, I like the fact that like it was basically Midoriya being like, "I will be the distraction, whatever." Yeah, and then you guys, I trust you guys. You guys know what you're doing. He's like, I definitely have trust in Ochako, Sero. You're gonna be fine. You know, you guys do what you got to do, but I will just distract them because he can move faster and he can like get out of the way. So I just like seeing that like level of trust amongst them, which was really cool.
It's neat to actually watch all the different groups broken up and they still very much complement each other no matter what people are with who. And I think, yeah,
this is Ochako saying that she trusts Deku because he has pulled out of every scenario he's been in.
Mm-hmm. And it just keeps going. Like, go back to the meatball one. So it was like back and forth between like 2 things. I'm like, this is ridiculous. The dialogue between the meatball guy, Bakugo, and then Kaminari freaking out because Bakugo is being rude and Bakugo not caring was probably some of the best dialogue I've ever read in a long time.
Yeah, it was really good.
Mm-hmm. This is
Bakugo.
well, everyone hates his type, so it made me laugh that there's somebody that Bakugo just like cannot handle either.
Yeah.
Bakugo not liking anybody? No.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think I would like the guy who turns people into meatballs either, just on pure principle fact alone.
I hate everything about this character.
This line though was like very well like because he told me that you're nothing. I don't know why you guys are so cool, like UA, like especially Bakugo's bad mouth and everything that he did at the tournament. He didn't like it. And then this line too, and Kaminari's like, what the hell is he saying? And Bakugo's like, his eyes must be too small and he can't see the true strength of his opponents. It was like the best way of saying this guy's an idiot. Like, don't worry about it. It was really good.
Truth.
Mm-hmm. Kaminari's freaking out because he's all grossed out. But this was really gross. It's like his fingers.
Yeah.
They are his fingers. Yeah. He basically, he controls them with like his hands. I also do like that they constantly refer to him as senpai.
Yeah, I noticed that too. And yeah, they call him sir in the
Well, he's a second year, right? So they are doing the honorific for him specifically, but it's also done in a derogatory like way. That's great.
Yeah, very sarcastically.
Yeah.
He's trying to teach them a lesson about heroing, and Bakugo's like, no. Let me go back to them doing this. This is just offering him dumb.
Miss joke, yeah. He's like, it's the kind that traps your finger, right? Like he instantly shuts it down. Like I know exactly what you're trying to do. That's a big no. I loved his entire like breakdown about talking about Bakugo and Midoriya. This was like one of my favorite moments of this entire episode was this breakdown, like that he gives about them.
And I think it's funny that he doesn't see them as leaders though. Like he just sees them as strong presences that like help aid the others to be their best, which is pretty awesome.
Well, neither of them at this point in the series has had a role of leadership or anything yet. Like, yeah, people do follow Midoriya from time to time, but people like recognize Bakugo's strength. But it's not like there isn't a leader in their class. If anything, a lot of them still see like Shoto as being like the most capable. So they think of him as that role, even though Shoto, as we'll learn in the next set, isn't the most capable. He has his own failings too. But yeah, so at this point we haven't seen that, but it's great because he does recognize how strong they are regardless, and their influence on the other students.
Yeah. I think that Ida and Momo pretty much are like the leaders right now that they look at least for like the boys and the girls, because the girls really look up to Momo for most things that are going on. So, but then we just see a bunch of there was like a bunch of action sequences of them taking down people, and I think this is.
I love this line was great too, because he does always find himself at the center of every major event. And I think he's like, it's strange. He always finds himself at the center of one major event. It's almost like he has like the greatest power of like all heroes, and somehow that just draws him to like these center of event things.
Mm-hmm. And this is Bakugo using his machine gun thing, which later on I laughed at because he was super excited that he toned it down so it doesn't hurt people. And then Kaminari's he's like, that's not cool. And then this is like the splash screen for the two of them for the Class 1A or his Class 1A, something like that. I can't remember.
When this popped up too, I was like, I should use this as the splash art for the episode, but because it's too wide, I couldn't. I was like, you only get one kid in there. But yeah, it's such a great just drawing of these two together.
That is just, that's a good drawing just alone.
Yep. Mm-hmm. All right, so that's the wrong one. This is the right one. Favorite moment of this past episode, Steph?
You know what my favorite moment of this episode is.
Hit it.
Bakugo just like ramped it up. Like it's my best dialogue from him.
That is not what I would have predicted. I would have thought it was Froppy in the swaddle.
Cuddled?
Yeah.
Yes, that was very cute too. But a good Bakugo liners, like him being himself and being able to like not have to control and restrain what he's saying to somebody and them deserving it is awesome. So,
Dan?
Probably, I always root for Momo. So seeing her kind of like conquer these moments that like where she's kind of feeling, like she can't really handle it, and when she does and she kicks ass, like I'm always about that. So that's probably my favorite.
Momo had great moments during this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hopefully it helps build up her confidence.
Yeah.
I would go with Aizawa's description of the two boys at the end. Like that's just for me. It's like I just love Aizawa's relationship with the kids a lot because he starts off being like this rough, gruff, like holy crap, he's going to expel someone like day one, and it just turns into how we all know Aizawa to be. And it's like this is the point where it's already kind of happened, but now it's like we get to see it from an outside perspective. We get to see Miss Joke be like, you love these kids, don't you? That is not like you. Like, this is interesting that you are like in love with these kids. And his description of them just reinforces that fact that he's like trying to be like, it's not love. It's this other thing, this passion that these kids have. Like, it's love. You love these kids.
Yeah.
I love Mariana says hers is the boys arguing up the ladder, which is a great moment. It's such a good moment. I want to know, James and Christy, what your favorite moments are too. They're talking about Jujutsu Kaisen in the chat, which is always a good thing. Please continue to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen always and forever because it's great. Yeah. Though I will say, Crunchyroll is doing their 2020 awards voting, so you could go to Crunchyroll.com right now and do your voting for the best stuff of 2020. And I find it difficult that Jujutsu is up for like almost every award because we're not even at that point at the end of 2020 we weren't even halfway through the first season of that. So I'm like, should that be considered a 2020 anime even if only like the first 8 episodes were out at that point out of a 25 episode season? So I find it hard to vote for it, although I had to vote for Gojo as best voice actor, and I had to vote for the ending credit sequence as being the best ending credit sequence. Like, there were some things that were obvious.
Of all time, probably. Definitely one of my top 3, probably next to, like, Gungrave and FLCL, probably.
Yeah. This is up there for me. It's with MHA and Haiku and, like, some of my favorites, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. The manga has a big head start, and I think people like this has been anticipated for a long time.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we got what was it? Middle of October it started, so like we've gotten kind of deep into it at this point.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's the 2020 awards, right? So
Yeah,
it's
true too.
but and at that point we had, I want to say this is correct, I could be wrong. I think it was 8 episodes by the time New Year's hit. No, maybe a little bit more.
Well, we're at 14 now, right?
Yeah, 14. But we've had
the year.
3 episodes this year in 2021, or just 2?
Just the one, right?
I thought we had the first. How many weeks into 2021 are we? I don't even
I think
know.
we're at like 3, right? No.
Well, they did a 2-week break, so I thought we had 2, but maybe not. Okay, so maybe half the season. Still,
Yeah, because you know what? They actually did a New Year's special, and the New Year's special was
Yeah.
So
I didn't even watch the New Year special.
I didn't even know about it until today, until somebody was like, because I said to somebody, I hope it's not a recap, and it was like they just did a recap. It's like, oh, good. But yeah, I don't think that this is the first episode. Christy said that she almost choked, and I'm upstairs in the opposite end of the house.
Oh no! Wait, what?
Yeah, but I think this is the first episode of the year, so that means we got like a good 13, 12 episodes. I don't know.
Yeah,
Then
but
it
and I know some anime like 12 episodes is all you get for a first season, right? It's like you get like Tower of God, you got 12 episodes, and see you later. We'll see you in season 2.
Yeah.
But for me, because they announced 25 episodes or 24 episodes for this season, I think it's 25. I was like, I feel like you need to wrap the 25 before it's considered complete for the first season. Now we can judge that first season.
Okay.
Even though by episode like 3 or 4, I'm like, I'm all in. This is the best thing I've ever seen. It's like so good.
I mean, fucking one, really. Like that episode 1, I was in. Like,
Yeah.
The guests that we had last week, I showed them episode 1 and 2, and they were all in. So, yeah.
I mean, it's good. I don't really have a problem with it. It was really just like I wanted to still vote for Tower of God, some stuff from God of High School, some stuff from Dorohedoro, some stuff from Haiku. Like I still wanted to like vote for all these other shows. And it was like if Jujutsu Kaisen is in the running and it was like the whole season was out, I would have easily picked Jujutsu Kaisen for like pretty much everything. But I purposely was like, nah, it's not a 2020 show. I'm ignoring it and I'm going for the other stuff.
No, I mean, you're not wrong. It's true because like everything got its full run for 2020. But then at the same time, when it's time for 2021 voting, well, actually, we'll probably, I don't know if we'll have 2 seasons for Jujutsu yet, but
no, but even still, throw it in 2021.
So.
What was that stuff?
We have season 5 this year for MHA, so that should beat out anything.
That is true.
It should be a great season too.
Mm-hmm.
Very excited.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, why don't we jump back into the 3rd episode of the night?
Episode of the night, you mean? Especially.
Is this part of this episode? I don't know where this went. Oh yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, I just jumped a screen.
Yeah. This is just basically going back to Shindo and what they're doing because they can't find anybody to basically they're hunting UA and trying to figure out where they're at. Even after being split up, they don't know what's going on. So they even split their class in 2, I think is what they were talking about too, to try to hunt them faster.
Yeah, I think he makes a good point. I think it has something to do with the fact that like you're not really whittling people down. I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was like the act of just splitting up to kind of like divide and conquer kind of deal.
Yeah. And I realized, is the Bakugo conclusion in this episode too? Or did I skip that too? Okay, cool.
No, let's hear.
Okay. And then his actual face, which is what Bakugo was telling him when he met him, is that he understood that he was putting on a facade to try to be nice and he should just be himself. Which was this is awesome. I'd rather him look like this most of the time because this is like a really great character design for somebody who's like leading something very odd and not as cutesy as some of the other characters. So
yeah, he doesn't look like black-haired Bakugo. Right now.
Yeah, he looks crazed, and actually like the original design for Deku. When I think about it now.
Yeah, true.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Rush. Okay, so the episode's name is
there
Rush.
we go.
Gross. Lots of gross stuff happening.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And Bakugo, like taking out the pieces, but they're not like going away. So he's trying to figure out what to do.
He's talking about his blast.
Yeah. And Kaminari is just like distraught by this. I don't think he's ever actually been side by side with him in another place before. Like this is a first for him to be with Bakugo in the fray, I think.
Yep.
So it's quite the challenge for anybody, I would assume, except for Kirishima, who's been there the entire time.
Kirishima or Deku.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or Shoto even. I think Shoto would just be his own self, like quiet, stoic self.
Yeah. But this is it's just gross because like when they were explaining his quirk more, I thought it was like clay, but it's actually like his own flesh that he's molding around that he can massage into people and then turn their flesh all.
Yeah, he has to like mold them into balls.
Even the way they described it is not great. Like the visuals does the job of not selling me on it, and then the description was like, okay.
I couldn't even imagine, being 4 and figuring out that your body just like molds into like grossness and then like,
that was good, by the way.
Mariana makes a very good point. She's like, shouldn't that hurt? Like pieces of him are on fire. Like he is blowing up pieces of him.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess his body probably is like a different material at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
In a sense.
That or he's just, he's been blown up quite a bit. I don't know.
I probably
also true too.
Mm-hmm. So how he gets to Bakugo, like he does this little he's like, I sent a piece of myself down around this corner until he like explains it to him, and it like gets onto Bakugo's back, and he's like, you know what's gonna happen to you next. And Bakugo throws something at Kaminari in his last little moments. But my favorite thing is that his meatball is just angry. There's just like anger letters coming out of it this entire time because he's so irritated that this happened.
The anger.
I would be irritated too. If I got turned into a meatball, I'd be pissed the frick off. Yeah.
Yeah. His little
Christy
feet.
has just upset me by saying Italian for dinner. So
nice. I see that now. Yeah. Meatballs. Yeah, he's a second year, so that's why they keep calling him Senpai.
Which is just making him angry.
It doesn't seem like the main focus of his quirk is turning into people into meatballs. It seems like it's more focused on himself. Mm-hmm. So, like, it's kind of weird that they named that quirk Meatball, because I wouldn't call what's coming out of a meatball just like flesh manipulation.
Yeah, I think you're right. But some of the quirk names are so bizarre in general, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with Meatball, but
and stiffening too. You still on board with stiffening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do they say? Steros is just tape, right?
Yep.
Like, really, they just named it tape. Yeah. So it goes from there. This is back. They're talking about how they're raising the level of professional heroes. That's why they lowered the number, because there's so many of them. And Kaminari's like, why is he ignoring the test and like turning all these people into meatballs and not actually doing what he needs to do, and sitting here talking, and he's getting annoyed. And I think at this point in time, I don't remember if he did fire the 2 round things into the fence, and the meatball guy thought it was because he missed him on like he missed him with them. He thought they were just discs, and then we kind of go into what they actually are at this point. Yeah.
I think he calls Bato too. He's like, you've just been slinging insults this whole time.
Yeah. And it's just, and I like it because they're both talking like, not fancily, but Kaminari's like, what is this guy even saying? Like, it was a lot of like words, and that's why Bakugo was like, he's not saying anything, he's just being stupid. Like, ignore it. We just gotta take him down. And then
he throws we learned that Bakugo gave him a grenade before he got turned into a meatball. And Kaminari used a grenade as a way to get Meatball to jump to a specific side, the side that discs happened to be at, because we'll learn that those help him direct his current, which is normally uncontrollable. And that's why this guy even says, he's like, you can't use your electricity because you'll hit all the meatball people and they still feel pain just like normal people. They're just having to look disgusting, but yeah, they can still feel it.
I think that's when Kaminari realized it too, that Bakugo wasn't blowing everything up too, because he was not wanting to hit the people on the ground. He
Yep.
was actually being aware of everything around him too. So, but this line was good. It just zaps him through. It bounced off one of his meatball parts.
And gross.
Yeah.
And gross.
Back to the grenade for a second. I was laughing hysterically when he said, like, Kaminari was asking Bakugo about the grenades and just like, are those just there to look cool? And then he angrily told Kaminari what they were actually for.
And of course, he was probably like screaming and punching him at the same time while he's explaining everything.
Oh,
Like,
here, have one later.
yeah. And then he's like, "Here, you know what to do with it now."
You know what this is, like, you dumbass. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that his whole thing was like, yeah, but this, because like the description of how they work too, I was like, damn, that's a lot for Kaminari to try to like wrap his brain around. He's like, is this going to require more thinking?
But it's a legitimate question though, because he gets super stupid when he uses power. So
Yep.
like, it's a legitimate question. Like, is this going to make me need to think? Because
I'm already stupid normally. Just imagine when I shoot off 1,000,000 volts.
right.
Mhm. It's a neat idea, though. I think because he came up with it, right? The discs and like everything going on, and then they just executed it for him and gave him a couple extra things. Like it spins with different types and sizes. I think is what she was
I
explaining.
think he came to them with the problem
Mhm.
of like, hey, I need a way to direct my electricity, and they came up with the solution and embellished it further in a way with the spinning control.
This is when he realizes that Bakugo wasn't going to burn all the meatballs that he was holding back because he didn't want to hit Kaminari either with everything that was happening, and realized that there was something more to it. Yeah. And I think after getting electrocuted, he like released whatever is happening with the meatball.
Certain amount of damage makes him let go of what he's doing. And I think it works in reverse. So the first person to get released was Bakugo, then Kirishima, because then Kirishima hits him in the stomach, and that starts to release everybody else.
Mm-hmm. And like he's trying to yell at him and tell him that he needs to be paying attention to himself and not other people. But this is when Kirishima and Bakugo finally get themselves out of there too, and then he hits him, and then Bakugo I think takes him down. Yeah, they take him out.
Knocks him out. It's a good punch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well deserved.
And he says thank you, and Bakugo can't say thank you.
No, of course not. Bakugo wouldn't say thank you. Instead, he's just like, what took you so long? Yeah, that's very Bakugo.
He's like the Fonz when the Fonz tries to say sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Hits him with it.
Yeah. He's just like going on. And then they like, I love that Kirishima's even like, down.
Yeah.
They're ready. They're like, he's like, you know that they're all unballed now, and that was exactly what they wanted too, because they need the points. So they're like, this is perfect.
Mm-hmm. I love this splash screen. Well, not even splash screen, but just this scene, just in general, because Kirishima looks super intense, and we never really see that out of him. He's kind of matching Bakugo, and like, I don't know, like them being like actual friends. It's kind of cool to see them like matching each other, and then like Kaminari's in the back, like, I'm here too, but I'm not the same way as you guys. I don't know.
He's the newbie in the situation. It kind of shows with the expression on his face. He's like, oh, I'm terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a reason Kirishima went with Bakugo, because they have a better chance together than with the other. So
they make a good team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then they got to see Shoto and see that he passed, and he was happy to see someone else from his class was there too. And I think at this point in time, they're all like talking and hoping everybody's going to make it. And so it wasn't a given. So
I like they take the extra step too to kind of tell you about, hey, after you win, you got to make sure you got to return these discs that are on you to the special shelf. Like they one of the things about My Hero is it always reminds me a lot of like Lord of the Rings in the way where it's like any question you typically have will eventually get answered. You're like, oh, hey, what are like the little, I don't know, the procedure elements of this test? Well, don't worry, we'll get that too.
Yeah. You have to use a special key too to take them off, so that people couldn't rip them off during
Get
the
super
thing.
specific about it.
Yep. Yeah. This was Sarah's like, pick me up and then jump. And then he picks him up like in the. I was like, okay, that works.
Carry me like a French girl.
Yeah, it's like, oh. And
we're talking about Kirishima, Kaminari, and Bakugo. It's Kaminari's with Mineta, and Kirishima and Bakugo are together, and then they kind of get lost in that tower. I mean, we'll cover this eventually, but they end up getting lost together, and then eventually they kind of meet back up.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. They do become an interesting trio eventually, though. Like we see a little bit more of those three together doing stuff.
And I think because they eventually Sarah and Mina join in over there too for like how they get everything. That's really cute. But and
the reason why,
yeah, is the coolest thing ever. And she actually put the tape on and then let them float. Sarah just gave her a bunch of rolls of tape, so realistically, it was all Ochako doing it, but it worked.
I mean, it was Ochako doing it while he's sitting there like, okay, here's more.
Yeah.
Like just shooting tape out.
Oh, I assumed he was just like cutting pieces and then running off, so it worked.
I always like seeing the quirks getting combined. Like, I don't know, it reminds me of Tom, you probably know Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
There were the specials where like, the characters would kind of combine powers, and then you get a very specific move. Like I like seeing stuff like this because it's so specific. And, yeah,
it's like, and it's funny too because one of my favorite combos is with Ochako as well. It's Ochako and Froppy together. Like they use their powers really well together because Froppy with her tongue can throw things that have been like 0G'd out very easily. Yeah, they do some awesome combo moves, and yeah, Ultimate Alliance is a good pull there for that.
Yeah,
talking about the traps,
and
they're just walking around claiming their wins
because they were like, we're older than you guys can take the test next year, you have to give us a chance. And he's like, we want to be able to pass this year. And Deku's like, I do too. This is not
he's like, I have to, because like I don't think these other students are in the same position that UA is, and the fact that they're being attacked constantly by actual villains, and the fact that passing this test means that they have a fighting chance by going to learn off, with more pros and whatnot. Yeah.
Also, they all have like a foot up on all of them because like they even know some of their names and power. Like if you lose against them at this point, then you deserve to lose against UA.
Agreed. Like if you're the one who's losing to the first years, then that's on you. Like you have to be just as diligent and working hard to be becoming the hero. Otherwise, you are exactly what I think they're hoping to weed out in this test by only selecting 100. Yeah. And exactly why villains like Stain came about, because the bloated hero system.
That's another good point. Is like that you up the quality, get good, as they say.
Yep.
I don't know who they is, but
the royal they likes beef stew. It's like yelling what they like.
Yeah.
Obviously. Okay. So Dan, we're getting into your territory here.
My son. Yeah.
Speaking of a good team up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was a sweet scroll over screen anyways, just for them finishing up getting everything. And the fact that Kaminari can shoot with one hand and throw with the other was actually pretty sweet.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of get a little bit of the other kids running away.
You didn't put Toru's name on there, even though she's there.
Oh, you can't see her. She's invisible. Also, great that she gets a super move that I forgot that she had.
Yeah, seriously. And that's a really good super move, too, because it's like a defensive ability. So
it really, it's like the one thing that, outside of just being like, hey, I'm invisible, it's perfectly fit for her, because if she refracts light to be invisible, of course, why couldn't she do that? Mariana says questioning your son.
Yes. Yeah, I'm very proud of him. So, especially in this episode.
So, we learn, I think at this point, are there only 10 slots left and there's 9 1A kids?
I think it gets down to that. Right now, I think there's 18 or something. It was double that until Shindo's class takes a bunch of them.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because Ida's running by and he's like, "Oh, hey, I found you," because he's been hiding. Poor guy.
He's just hiding and shaking.
Yeah, we get scared even when Ida comes up from behind him. And he's like telling him, he's like, "I'm running around checking on everybody and making sure I find him. I'm doing the class representative thing." And Oyama's like, "That's stupid. How do you know where everybody is or if they're even past the test yet? Maybe there's people you're looking for that have already made it and you're running around like a crazy person," which made a lot of sense.
It did, but he also is a class rep. He's got to do what he can. His due
Yeah.
diligence.
He didn't think, and then he was like, "I have to make sure." He didn't care if he passes first. He wants to make sure if everybody passed, that's a good thing. So that's his responsibility.
It's so funny that we have like two ends of the nobility scale here,
Mhm.
like with Ida and Oyama, like completely like opposite ends of, you know, Oyama's hiding in a corner, Ida's running around, making sure everybody's okay.
Yep.
And then seeing them team up, I don't know, like the contrasting thing, like they always make it work, like in the show, and that's what's so great.
They do, and I love seeing the pairings of students in that way. Like you wouldn't think Aoyama and Ida together like instantly as a pairing. I'm like, really, those two? But it works in a so special way, and something that Ida says resonates with Aoyama in this episode and makes him do something very heroic in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
Oh yeah, me too.
They're all idiots.
It's just nice seeing them be kids. It's always nice seeing them.
And again, it's like random ones. Like before, wasn't it like Mina and them that were like dancing around because they got to go to camp, and like Ochako joining in just throws it like in that. It's just cute.
It just goes to show you how close they all are. Like these kind of moments do that for us. So
they're just super excited to see each other, and then Bakugo and Deku have like a sweet moment for them. Like it's very like it's him recognizing his quirk. And recognizing that Deku now is powerful enough to take him on.
I think it's more
recognition.
I saw it more as him being able to dig on Deku and be like, "I know, motherfucker. I know." Like, just so you know, you said something a while back that resonated with me, and I thought about it for a while, but now I get it. Yeah, you should have passed with that quirk of yours. A very specific quirk.
Deku took it as something like of being acknowledged. Like his whole thing.
That is not how he took it. He took it as
shock.
You referenced the fact that I told you that I had a borrowed quirk when I thought you had forgotten that, is how he was reacting. Mm-hmm. It had nothing to do with you're talking to me all sweet. It was more like oh shit, you know, and you know because I spilled the beans in like the first season, and I shouldn't have.
For a split second, when like he got really excited, he's like, "Oh, Kacchan," and then when he kind of got into what he wanted to say, then that's when Deku was like, oh shit.
Yeah, he knows that a reckoning is coming, and we know the reckoning is coming. I don't think there's anything sweet about what Bakugo said to
think
Deku.
It's an actual acknowledgement, so that's one of the things. It's a next step up for
Bakugo. That is you loving Bakugo to the point where you're seeing a pureness that does not exist in that regard.
Tom, save your strength because I'm going to be doing a lot of apologizing for Oyama. So
okay.
You're gonna have this fight again, so just save your strength.
I also love that I'm presuming she made these or they're just in the room.
She's preparing herself for the next stage.
No, I love it. I love they had dumplings.
By the way, Froppy got both eyes open now. She's all good.
So yeah, she's better now. Good.
All better.
Warm.
He's the ragdoll being flipped around.
It's funny that his gloved cape is what Ida is going to use to like basically like, oh, you got to get out of danger. Let me just grab you by this.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous.
Oh. I'm so proud of him.
Okay. Proud of him for being a, I don't know, an accessory, I guess.
He's having his what do they call it? Their moment where they became their starting gate. That's what he's having. His Oyama's starting point, starting line, whatever they do.
I feel like his starting line has to do with cheese, and we see it in the next season.
That's like a character flaw. We're not going to go there.
Flaw? I think that's
Flaw.
a character bonus.
No,
That is a and then
not the liking cheese. The way he goes about the liking cheese is not
Oh,
exactly.
yeah.
Yes.
He does some weird stuff with cheese for sure.
yeah, this part is amazing. Like you can ask Christy. I was dying today. This hysterical watching it flap in the wind, like as Ida's running. I mean, I love the boy, but seeing him being whipped around like an accessory. Oh god.
It was really good because he's not fighting it at all. Normally you'd see characters like, "What are you doing? Put me down."
Yeah, no, he's
was
like,
"Sure."
this is my life now.
Yeah.
No capes.
Go the wrong way. There we go.
This is when they start talking about there's 10 slots left. There's 9 of them still missing from the room. What's going to happen?
I almost used one of these kid pictures of Aoyama for the.
So like, how after seeing this scene can you not like him just a little bit more? Honestly, because like this is showing like there's some depth to him and there's a reason that the way he is, and he's we've all been the weird kid. He's the weird kid. Like you not root for the underdog.
No, I mean I like this unveiling of his the backstory of him. There's still the guy cowering behind the rock, the guy, look at me, I'm sparkling. Like those aspects of him I never truly liked. This and then what happens to him next season, where we get a little bit more of under the surface Aoyama, that I start to like him more. But at this point, you can give me a rich backstory, but he's still cowering behind the rocks and not doing anything endearing or.
He's somebody's got to believe in him. That's why he has his ego, because nobody else believes in him. He has to be his own fan, because he's got nobody.
He got 2 of his targets hit, so he wasn't cowering the entire time. So I mean, if I had 1 left, I would be trying to figure out what to do too.
I like to imagine it started, he got hit twice and hit.
I thought the exact same thing. That happened in the very first 2 seconds of this entire battle. Everybody else is batting away all these balls in grand, resplendent fashion, and Aoyama was just like, I can shoot one out of the sky, and then boop boop, he gets hit. I will say in the second movie though, he has some great moments that I'm like, okay, Aoyama, you did some great stuff, but
he does.
We're far away from that point.
And I was vocal for them, and I was the only one. So.
And this is the moment where something that Ida says resonates with him in a way where he just all of a sudden bends down and does the crab walk thing and shoots his naval laser into the sky. And Ida's like, "What what are you doing? They're all going to see us."
Mm-hmm. That's what what does he say? I'm making myself known or something like that.
Yeah.
I like the way he says it out loud.
I'm standing out.
I'm standing out. And then Ida's like, well, yes, you are. It's not a good thing.
That didn't mean to make that disappear.
It would have. This would have been one of the moments.
He's so cute, the little one too. His mommy,
Seriously.
it's coming up to you. It's like my tummy hurts. I can only imagine, poor little guy.
Yeah, it's a shame that as a kid he has to deal with the negative side effects of his quirk.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being very, very selfless here by saying, "You get out of here, do what you can," while they're all coming after me because I'm making my presence known.
Mm-hmm.
But it ends up having a different side effect, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because he tells him the shape of Ida's dream is to be able to unite 1A and be the support and that they need. And he's not really worried about passing the test because he's worried about their growth. And so I think that's where he's like, well, what's the shape of my dream look like? What do I need to do to be a good hero?
It looks like a disco ball.
I got him.
Nice. Very good of you.
And then where did all these pigeons come from?
They're just out and about. They'll be anywhere.
This is just crazy amount of pigeons, but it's okay.
And I was like, yo, pigeons, and then that's his thing. They just
tell your friends.
Yeah. Yo, did you hear? There's shit going on. And
free bread.
Oh yeah, or somebody just threw a piece of bread.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Momo dropped her sandwich that was in her front pouch, and that Anima didn't even do this. It was just,
He came through for them.
Oh yeah, boy did he.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. And then of course, I'm shocked that he was still in it. Like he hadn't won yet.
I think
I'm
he was
sure
Yeah.
Tokuyami didn't love being paired with all those birds. I wonder, kind of like.
No, they're like, it's oh shit, cousin Albert, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Senpai.
Oh my god. I think that they all have to have like one or two ultimate moves. How many moves does Tokuyama have by this time? It's like he had like 4 this entire
One of the
episode.
strongest quirks on this entire.
I know, but it's crazy.
As many as he wants.
I know.
Exactly.
Revelry in the dark.
Yeah.
Yes, revelry in the dark. I love it.
What do you need to know?
I loved this too. What great traps. Again, all their powers working well together.
Mm-hmm.
The pitches is a great distraction for Maeda to throw out all these balls and get everybody kind of like trapped while Tokuyama's like knocking stuff around and Mina's throwing acid.
Always.
What a shot. Stretchy ball.
Well, I was thinking about we were talking about Jiro hurting herself and not getting ready for the next round. Mineta just destroyed his scalp during this time.
He's fine.
He's fine.
I agree with Dan. He's fine. Mineta is fine.
He's used to liquids.
Oh, this was the shiny part where she refracted.
Yeah.
Yep. Like she just like bends it away. She's like super refraction or something.
Do we see this again ever? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Yeah. That was it.
She was more covert.
We don't really see her a whole hell of a lot either. Like
Ever, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay, yes, true, but I mean, she's not ever like a focus character. Like they don't ever spend like a lot of time with her.
Yeah.
This was cute.
Yes, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad it was Mina too. She's like the perfect person for this.
Yeah, because she was picking on him a lot in like the first.
Yeah.
I mean, the first appearances of them all together as a class, like she was always giving him shit.
And she's like, yeah, she's a cool character. Like she's a cool person as a character. And for her to say this to it probably means a little bit more because she's like considered cool. And she does it in this endearing way. Like that smile is very endearing. And I don't know, her character is very cool and positive.
Yes.
It's true. Because when you're the outcast and somebody who is not the outcast tells you, hey, that was cool.
Yeah.
It's
like you think that Mina would be an outcast because she's pink and she has antenna and whatnot, but she freaking makes that shit work for her in a great way.
No, she'd be
I love that too. It's like seeing it all from his perspective and how the students who he thought he was trying to save by sacrificing himself, like they came to save him.
Rescue.
Yeah.
I like how they pushed him down with his hands onto the balls even more, so they had him like on their faces. They were all stuck.
So okay, sorry. Let's break for a second because this was the question I had too. Like, if she can control her invisibility to create this light refraction, does that mean she could be visible too? Like, I wonder that myself. I'm like, if she could do that, or she can control her, I don't know.
Maybe later. Maybe she doesn't know how to all the way yet. It's a new thing.
I would like to meet her family if they're just invisible people too.
I feel like if she had that ability to be able to be invisible all the time, like she wouldn't need this school. Like, because that seems like quite the feat if she could turn that on and off and she was pretty much all the time on. So we're not giving her enough credit. So that'd be interesting for us to get thrown. Like if they threw that at us, like, oh, she can actually do this the whole time.
It might be that she just can't do it, like you said, yet, and that might just be something that she's striving to do.
Because it's in Fantastic Four, Invisible Woman, she just refracts light to make herself invisible. That's how they deemed it, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You're talking about Susan Storm.
Yeah. That's right, Oyama. That is.
Twinkle won't stop.
I cannot stop twinkling.
He needs a better name.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
No.
Holy hell, yes.
No.
Absolutely not. Longer.
You're wrong. You're
It's
wrong.
like, I don't,
I
know
don't
if
want a sentence as I don't even have to say it as like a superhero name. No sentences. That's why I
No,
hate
you gotta be different.
Bakugo's superhero name.
Well, did you ever watch the Boondocks?
No.
Oh, okay. Well,
Oh, wait, you're talking about like the original Boondock Saints?
no, the cartoon Boondocks.
No, I haven't watched it.
There was a character called a pimp named Slickback, and he always insisted that everybody call him by the full name, not just Slickback.
See, that's actually fine to me. I cannot stop twinkling is a terrible fucking
It's
name.
an amazing.
You have to say the whole thing because
All right, we're moving on.
You're so
listen. I told you creative strength.
It's true. It's very true. Like Bakugo's just like not even joining them in the revelry.
Of course.
He has us enough on his mind right now.
Yeah, being terrible to Deku.
Oh.
And also, he was just a meatball. Like, I feel like I would be a lot bothered by this.
So I take it you didn't get the end credit scenes because this is the
No.
last. Okay, but we get a little taste of what's to come because they show, hey, everybody, look at the TV screen, and then all of a sudden we get to see the arena exploding all over the place, and they kind of set the stage and say, okay, the next part is rescue. So we're going to go into the rescue, which has very interesting characters being the people that they have to rescue next time.
Mhm.
So, and that is
Yeah,
the
I don't remember this next cluster. It's I
You know?
can't think
Gang
of what-
Orca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really spotty. I don't know.
Okay,
But this is why we're doing this, and this is why
that's exactly why we're doing this. Yep.
Yeah. Because I don't. I mean, even if I had seen it, it's been probably a couple of years.
So, all right, guys. Favorite moments of the last episode of the set.
Do I need to go?
You can go.
Well, yeah,
first.
because I didn't know which part of that whole scenario.
Just the first glimpse of his backstory, honestly, that's I liked Oyama because I like a comic relief. I always like a comic relief, and
Mhm.
like that showed him being an underdog, and I also like an underdog. So like, how can I not call him my favorite character in the show? And you know, there are others that like I take more seriously and whatnot, but like when he comes on the screen, I'm happy. How can I not call him my favorite character? And especially what we'll see later on, like in what was it, last
Season 4.
Yeah, season 4, like third to last episode or something like that. He has a big moment there too. And that was when I was like, yeah, I like him a lot. So I don't know, that moment specifically, showing the backstory, that he's there's something wrong. There's layers to him. That was my favorite moment of the season.
Of the season? That's your favorite moment of the
I'm
season?
being dramatic. No, probably that season. But
Okay.
yeah,
I was about to say, there's something coming up in like 3 episodes or 4 episodes actually, that's like,
yeah, that's true.
holy shit, I still go back and rewatch this one episode. I've seen it like 100 times.
Listen, I have to root for him too.
Yeah, of course. Steph?
Oh, speaking of not having layers for an episode, so I like the Bakugo fight. The meatball fight is going to be my thing. I like that Kaminari got to use his personality. I like that Bakugo got to interact with someone else from the class because he's been pretty much shoved over with either being forcibly with Deku or with Kirishima. So it's nice to see everything like that.
I like Mariana's like entire breakdown of why she liked the Kaminari moment. Like he had no brain until now, which is great.
Mhm.
That was a very good
Dunce.
moment.
Or dunce face. What is it?
Yeah, we didn't see the dunce face this time. And he
No
actually-
dunce face. See, Matt made it.
And I think those discs do a lot for it because he doesn't have to
Mhm.
shoot everything all at once to hit people. He could actually just use them in bursts to
Yeah.
kind of control how much he needs for what.
I think his understanding of the other kids too, like him being like, "Oh, Bakugo actually is vulgar, but he knows what he's doing."
Yeah.
Kirishima knew what he was doing. Like this is actually, it was entertaining to watch him kind of come into his own a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you guys and choose Kaminari, basically taking down Meatball. You know, that moment where he uses the grenade, gets him to dash in front of it, and then shoots him right there. You know, and basically is like, you know, you don't get to judge these people because you don't know them. Like, yeah, he doesn't say this outright, but I kind of get the sense he's like, yeah, Bakugo's a prick, but he's our prick kind of thing.
Yeah.
I kind of got that from that whole situation. I always kind of like those moments. So it was a good one for that. It was a hard toss up though, because like I do like Aoyama finding himself in the words of Ida, where he's like, the shape of my dream is this and that, and then Aoyama kind of stepping up a little bit, but stepping up in a way of self-sacrifice that just turns into him getting another chance, really. So
yeah,
good stuff though.
I'm glad that we got to that last episode after all. I'm glad that I was miscalculated, because
yeah, I'm glad we had, because I had asked you to be on for like last week, but you had people in town because there was a good Aoyama moment with the dorm room stuff.
Which is one of my favorite episodes, so it would have been still cool. But yeah,
it is a good episode. But I'm glad we got Aoyama like big moment, like a huge Aoyama moment, actually way bigger than that one moment where he's just like sparkling in his bedroom.
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm glad you were here for that. So thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me. It's fun.
Of course. Anything else to talk about? Next week will be 3 episodes, I think, because there's 7 episodes left. I guess we could talk about this now. There's 7 episodes left of the season.
That's quite.
One of those episodes is the lead into the movie, and it happens in the middle of next week's set of 3. It would be the second episode of the 3. So I'm saying we skip that one, but still do 3 next week. And then we do the last 3 the final week, and then we reconvene in between season 3 and season 4 for that one episode and a movie.
That works.
Cool. That makes sense, because again, like I watched the second movie before I saw the first movie.
That's crazy.
I know.
I saw both of the theaters, and they were great moments.
I was like, oh,
yeah, but I never saw the first. Like, it's been too long between me seeing the first episode and that episode of Times in the movie.
Yeah,
so that'll be cool.
I don't think I've ever watched that episode as a lead-in to then watch the movie. Like, I don't think I've ever sat down for like 2.5 hours to be like, or I think the first movie is only like 90 minutes, which I've watched that first movie like hundreds of times. It's ridiculous. I love the way how it opens with classic All Might. I just want more classic All Might.
I think we could get an OVA of just All Might, like a 12 episode or an 8 episode, something. Yeah, like
the latest chapter of Vigilantes actually has a lot to do with All Might, and it's All Might in his prime, and we get to see All Might power down in his prime and what that looks like. It's great. Yeah. So I'm going to keep championing. Please read that manga. It's great.
Up to chapter 19.
Okay.
So
I forget what we're at. I think we're like 89 or something like that.
Yeah, I think Ed, we got a new chapter last week, right? Or was it the week before?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. New chapter last week. There's a new One Punch Man chapter this past week too. That's great.
Speaking of Vigilantes, this sweatshirt reminds me of the main character, Koichi, because this is how sweatshirts are made in 2020, by the way. It's got a built-in.
What? Built-in?
Yeah, it's built in. I swear to you. It right here.
Wow.
This kind of is for anybody who's not seen Vigilantes. This is kind of how Koichi. What is it? Koichi?
Koichi,
yeah. This is kind of how he runs around, except without the Class 1A.
And he always rocks an All Might hoodie because he also has the ear things dangling. And it's so good.
Which, by the way, this mask does absolutely nothing. So.
Yeah. Also, man, the fact that it says Class 1A on it, that is the ultra nerdiest thing I've ever seen.
I am cutting it off the sweatshirt.
Yeah. I can understand. It would bother me. It actually kind of being attached.
Not about it. You? Like tucked back here, and it's just like kind of crazy a little bit. But
will we be done by season 5, or are we overlapping? I
think we're
think we'll be done. I actually think we'll be done, mainly because if we do 3 episodes a week, and there's like it's the end of March, right? Season 5, and we're 2 weeks before ending this season. Oh, you know what? No, I think we'll overlap. I think we'll overlap a little bit. Yeah. Which at that point, I mean, is it a rewatch if we do a show where we just cover 1 episode a week, or do we do it bi-weekly, do 2 episodes? We'll talk about it. We got time.
I think a monthly recap would be a good idea.
Yeah. It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about other anime too. Who knows? We could maybe just convene on Instagram and just shoot the shit too.
There you go.
And we get
All Might is All Might in his prime isn't Aizawa in Vigilantes though. Yes. Yes and yes. Aizawa is new hero in Vigilantes.
Mm-hmm.
All Might is a prime number 1 hero in that. And he's actually, it's during the era where Sir Night Eye is his sidekick. So you get Sir Night Eye and All Might working together. That's the time frame that we're in. So, and it's kind of great seeing Sir Night Eye react to All Might and yelling at him constantly. So that's where we're at.
We get to see that dynamic live, right? I mean,
yeah.
I'm here for anything All Might and just seeing best of All Might. Like that's what I want the OVA to be. Best of All Might, top 6.
Yeah. Give me an All Might mission. And it doesn't have to be him against All for One. And like that's the thing. I feel like every time the movie, if you haven't watched the movie, please tune out now. It'll be a rewatch for the movie, I think, for everyone here. But the fact that they kind of shoehorn in All for One into that movie in a way towards the end, I'm like, you didn't need to do that, really. Yeah. Personally, I mean, I get it. It's cool because they upgraded the villain to give him multiple quirks, kind of deal. But I felt it was an unnecessary step to go to kind of just shoehorn it into the greater scheme of things. Like things can just stand on its own.
Yeah.
That's unfortunately a thing that happens with movies.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. I love that movie. I have a hard time choosing which movie I like better of the two. I like them both a lot for different reasons. I like the second one a lot. The second one has amazing, gorgeous animation and a crazy fight. But that first one just has, once again, young All Might. It has a lot more character moments that are like more precious, right? Like non-superheroic stuff. Where the second one, they're in their hero suits. They're being heroes like the whole time kind of deal, which is awesome. I love being able to see it.
I think that's why I prefer the second one just a little bit more. And also I saw it in theaters.
Yeah. That colors, personal expectations of it too.
I like the second one just because it's all the kids at once and you get all the class kind of together better.
I like that too. I also just really love that one arena in the first movie where they're like Bakugo's first entrance in that movie where he's like taking on that tower and then they notice that Midoriya's there, so they basically threaten him to take it too, and he does it and he does so well, and then all of a sudden behind the scenes like Shoto's just like, I win.
Yeah.
So, it's cool. Mariana says she's stoked for the third one. Me too.
Yeah, I'm very curious. I wonder if all of the 1A kids are going to get, well, actually probably not, but like those costumes that they show, like are all 1A kids going to get those, or is it just going to be the Three Musketeers, as they're saying? I think it's just going to be the Three Musketeers. I think it takes place in a very specific time frame in the what we've seen so far in the manga. So because I think at that point that'll be at the end of season 5, season 6 stuff. So yeah, which I feel a little stupid that I caught onto this late, but All for One, One for All, Three Musketeers. That's the whole thing. That's the whole point of that.
That is, yep. It's cheesy, but it's great. Also,
yeah.
Oh, hey, look! Oh, my cat was just licking his asshole. I was hoping to catch that on camera, but no, he stopped. I moved to the side, and there he was.
I have not, James. Actually.
Oh, did he send you stickers?
I guess I did. Yeah.
All right.
You will know the moment I do, though.
Yeah.
And they'll go right on this laptop.
There you go.
Yeah. I hope nobody at work ever sees my laptop. It is.
Is it nerdy as hell?
Oh my god! It is. It's got a sticker from Betts. Sisters in Plastic sticker. Actually, a picture. Christy did the Nendo version of herself picture, and she got a sticker that I threw it on there. Oh God, what else? I don't want to even turn around right now, but yeah.
Christie's Nendo is so her. It's amazing.
Yeah,
I love
great.
it.
It sits on her shelf too, like in one of the Roll Life kits that she made. It's awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
I think that's great.
Yeah. I am excited for this third movie. So.
I'm hoping it's a lot more of another character that we didn't see in the first two. So.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Who we said ew about earlier.
Who we said ew about earlier? Oh yeah. Wait. Who are we talking about? We can talk after this.
The new number one hero. I want to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
I was wondering. I thought you were talking about Mirio for a second.
Yeah, me too. I was like,
I remember him being ew.
No, he's definitely not you.
Whoa, settle down now, Steph. Come on.
Hello. Did we tell Dr. Joe?
I mean, yeah, nice. Yeah, I don't think he's gonna take it that well.
He'll be okay.
Anybody watching new anime? We covered a little bit of Promised Neverland last week. We obviously talked about Jujutsu Kaisen this week as well.
I need everybody in existence right here to get on Cells at Work. Because
Cells at Work. Yeah.
Cells at Work, Black especially. I really love what they're doing with this. Because like I think Cells at Work takes place inside the body of like a 10-year-old girl or something like that. Like a young person who's like, this is just a normal body. I think Cells at Work very clearly takes place in the body of somebody who's not taking good care of themselves.
So my body.
Maybe you shouldn't watch it because for me, it makes me feel like shit. I'm like, God,
good.
Poor Cells. Oh my God. But yeah, it's really good, and I just love things being anthropomorphic.
Yeah.
Oh God. But yeah, I just like when things are done that way, and Cells at Work does it so well. It blows my mind. And Christy being like, she went to school for biology. It's kind of fun having her like, oh my God, that's that cell. That's that cell. And then like getting extra context from her is really fun. So I don't know. I know there's a lot.
That's great. I think that right there might color a little bit more for the show for you, like give you a little bit more further insight.
It definitely makes it that much cooler for the both of us because, she gets to like recount all of that knowledge.
Yeah.
And mitochondria, which we don't yet, but
Mariana's got the one that I'm going to look forward to.
Oh yeah, I have added that to my list.
This is a show?
Yeah.
No, up one.
No, that's the powerhouse of the cell.
Oh. What the heck is this? And how do you say it?
I don't know. But it's good. I saw the trailer. I sent you the trailers for it too.
Oh yeah, you sent me like the 10 best animes of 2021 to look forward to. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm currently catching up on Attack on Titan. I'm 2 episodes from being current, so
I'm gonna wait until that's done because I can't.
I was going to until I started like going in my stories on Instagram and I saw like people being like, okay, next 3 stories are gonna be Attack on Titan spoilers. I'm like, well. If I miss the first story, because sometimes stories will play without me looking at it, and if I miss the first one and just like look at it, and then it'll be a spoiler, I just don't want to get spoiled. So I'm like, I might as well start catching up now. But I'm usually there with you, where that's one of those shows where you kind of have to watch it in a bundle because it's a lot that it's easier to watch in a group.
There's way too much like the cliffhanger because I actually have not watched the last season. Christy blew past it without me like one night, and I still don't know what's in the goddamn basement. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's where I am. So I am waiting until that's done because also there's just so much crap going on. And now we got WandaVision 2 to kind of to watch.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like I feel like WandaVision goes by so quickly though, and just in case, I know Marvel fans aren't as terrible as Star Wars fans. I still watch it like Thursday night when it hits midnight here on the West Coast because that's when it goes live.
Yeah.
I'll watch the episodes. I watched them both this past Thursday. So I'll just tear through that. So like Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays are like my anime. Like,
There's at least 2 or 3 because we also have that time I got reincarnated as a slime that we're
I haven't
watching.
started that one yet.
I haven't started that one. It's on my list. I haven't
Mhm.
started that one.
It, honestly, it kind of lost me in the middle of it. It starts out really interesting. I kind of fell off of it a little bit. Christy followed it pretty closely, but like, where it's picking back up now, I'm trying to. Thank God for a recap episode in this case because it actually helped me. So, yeah. So I got that, and then Jujutsu Kaisen, Promised Neverland, Cells at Work, and Cells at Work back to back is cool.
Mhm.
Oh, Dr. Stone season 2 is back.
Another one, yeah, I did watch that also. So
It started off and it was just Dr. Stone from like the get go again. I was like, yes, okay, I'm ready for it. I'm here. Give me my anime Bill Nye the Science Guy weird stuff and
I haven't
Stone.
seen that either.
Yeah.
You what, Steph?
I haven't seen that one, so
I think you'd really enjoy it. It's one that like when you first start season 1,
mhm.
the first I think 3 episodes are different type of show than the whole rest of it. It like completely changes gears after that. They do setup, like here's the setup for the overarching story for the first couple episodes, and then we'll move into how the show is actually going to play out episode by episode for the rest of it. And once that kicked in, I was like, oh, I'm here. The first 3 I'm like, okay, interesting how this is going to open up. And then once it gets into it, I got hooked. I have Senku arriving, I believe my Nendo arriving on Monday, I think.
Ooh.
I thought he was supposed to be here today. Actually, I thought he was supposed to be here earlier, but hey,
Yeah.
whatever.
We still got to track him down. But I was honestly expecting a re-release this week because like they did that. Oh, that's another thing we're watching is Laid Back Camp.
Oh yeah,
I need to finish that one too.
Steph, after we were talking about that and you were telling me like, I should check it out, like I felt like Crunchyroll was listening because the next time I opened up the app, it was the splash screen at the top like, you should watch Laid Back Camp. Like,
Yeah,
all right.
you should. It honestly, please watch it within the next couple of months because it all takes place around winter and it's like this is the time to watch it. It's all
Dude,
very like
we don't get winter where I am. I don't get that.
it's yeah,
It's like 90 degrees here today.
it is right now 34 degrees. So for me, it's nice because like they're camping and they're eating hot food and like it's super cool, like cold outside and cool, I guess, but it's like the perfect time of year to watch that. So
Uh-oh.
yeah. I think I started watching it at 6 o'clock. I get tired sometimes. I just pass out, and I woke up at 2, and she was finished. The whole thing.
Good for her. Good for you, Christy.
Yeah, good for her. Must have been good.
I have the same thing. It's like 9:30 hits, and it's like, how?
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I'm up at 7 every day, and
I'm up at 5. So yeah.
oh yeah, there you go.
Sometimes earlier, you guys will get messages.
On the weekends, I'll wake up around noon, but I go to bed at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
Well,
I'm always shocked when, Danny, you start responding to me before I'm going to bed. I'm like, what is going on? Why are you up at
I'm like super, well, yeah, that's true. Like sometimes I'm up for work at sometimes 6, 7, and you're still. I get a message from you, and yeah, it's time zones are weird.
Yes, they are.
I have Golden Kamui to watch too that I've been waiting to like look at because they started releasing more Nindos for that. So I was looking at it, and I haven't seen Dororo yet, like the one with the guy with the arm that's cut off with the sword. Yeah, I haven't watched it yet. So
And you have figures for that.
I have figures for lots of things I haven't seen yet.
Steph, fix that.
So, yeah,
That's on
so,
Amazon
Goblin
Prime.
Slayer,
I believe
I have
it's
only
the
seen 5 episodes, so it's like I need to watch some stuff.
That one's like, I tore through that one fairly quick because it is only 20. I think it's 24 episodes, but it's the full series and done. But it was a good watch. I really enjoyed it.
Are you saying Doro Hedoro or is
Dororo?
okay?
Dororo. Yeah, because there's Dorara too, so I was like, I have to like make sure we like get the right one.
Well,
Dororo, though, you should watch too if you haven't seen that.
that is on
I
my
think I
list.
queued it because it's on Funimation.
Netflix. Oh, I watch on Netflix.
Oh.
Maybe on there too.
I think 1,000 Toys is doing Doro Hedoro figures, right?
They are, and they're doing that gross thing where they're like, "Hey, look, we're doing these 2 guy characters, and the girls are just going to be statues." And I got so annoyed because the girls on that show are like the best characters of that entire show. Like,
I weirdly just watched the opening for it, and yeah, there was a big focus on a female character.
well, the main girl is Nikaido. She's the main character of the show. Like, she is like the main thrust of that entire show. They're just giving you a statue. They love giving you Kaiman. He's the guy with the lizard head.
Well, yeah, I mean, they gotta do that. I mean,
he's awesome. I mean, he just loves gyoza. That's his main driving passion in life. He loves gyoza. Oh, and eating people's faces. But you should watch that because that's interesting.
That sounds already sold me. That's just sold me just now. I'm like, it's gonna move up.
It is okay. First off, the character design in it is very Akira Toriyama. No, sorry, Otomo, the guy who did Akira. That's why.
Okay.
The faces look just like that.
Yeah, it's very much like that. It's not him, but it looks a lot like his work. And the world is very steampunk mixed with the Akira aesthetic, like neo-futuristic steampunk, in a way that it's like really cool. And it's a CG show, but it's done like so stylized that it feels like it's almost drawn on top of CG. It's beautiful. And it's so bizarre. It's so weird. And that's what I love about it. It's quirky. It doesn't make any sense.
Those CG animes, they're really hit or miss for me sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Did you watch Beastars?
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to recommend it to you, but I mean, they do good CG.
I've been avoiding that one for obvious reasons. So
Tommy, my nerdy obsessions, is who got me to watch it because we were in a gaming group where we were playing a whole bunch of games together for a while. And he was like, "You guys got to watch Beastars," and he didn't say anything about it. And within like 2 episodes, I'm like, "Tommy, what the hell am I watching? Like, what? I feel so weird watching this. It makes me feel so weird."
That's how I saw something about James saying it was rapey. That's why, yeah.
I thought he was being creepy, but apparently not. But
yeah, that's why I couldn't get through Goblin.
It's about predator and prey, and the predator falls in love with a prey, and it becomes very weird. So yeah.
Goblin Slayer is meant to be that.
Goblin Slayer is amazing. You just have to get past the first episode where that stuff happens, and then because that is just to set the tone for why that character is the way how he is, and it does not happen again. But it gets very graphic in the first episode. But once you get past that, it
was really, really tough. And like I watched this and I felt like weird about it, and I was like, Christy, I have to tell you something. There was a show that I watched and I'm really bothered by it because like we saw the Nendo, we saw the Figma, and I was like, that guy's fucking cool. I want that. I'm gonna watch this now.
Yeah.
And then they did Good Smile did figures of the goblins, right? Too?
No, it wasn't Good Smile. It was like some off-brand something that did it. Okay. I had a couple of them. I
know Raina Toys did a bunch of pictures with them, Dan. I saw he did stuff, but like that was like, oh, that's cool. I got to watch that. And that first episode was like, holy shit. I don't know if I can do this.
If I could say, since you've already watched the first episode, you've gotten through the tough stuff. Okay. You should really watch the rest because it then dives into very much, oh, hey, and it's funny because I've recommended like I think a trade to you too, Die. It's very much Dungeons and Dragons, and you're just watching an anime that's based on the concept of Dungeons and Dragons, but without it being like you need to know anything about Dungeons and Dragons. But it is, here's all the character classes. They call the Paladin, that's his name. They call the elf like the elf, like they don't, they don't all have names. They all just are their character classes.
Right.
That's really cool.
Kind of like Akudama Drive a little bit.
Yeah.
Yes, it's very much like that. Ooh, what is that?
The coaster.
Yeah.
You
got me a mug for Christmas that's like the UA logo, and it came with, I love a coaster, so it came with a built-in coaster on top. What?
What a weird thing to love. I love coaster.
I love I do, because like I don't know. I like protecting tables. So what? But yeah, it came with a UA. Well, that's weird. A UA coaster that just sits right on top of the mug, like this. I don't have a mug, but yeah.
Nice. Wait, what?
Everyone's talking about Goblin Slayer.
Oh yeah.
Goblin Slayer is worse. Wait, with rapey stuff.
Worse than Beastars. So they're kind of like comparing. It's kind of hard to compare the two.
Okay,
I think.
here's what I will say about comparing it though. Beastars drags that shit out for a whole season. Goblin Slayer gets it done in the first episode and is like, okay, that's just the background of what could possibly happen when it gets all terrible.
Yeah.
Beastars, it's like every episode you're like, oh my god. It's like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I'm gonna eat you. No, I'm gonna have sex with you. No, I'm gonna eat you. No, I don't know. What should I do?
See, that's kind of what I thought. Because we did some looking into it. I guess the manga was that way or something like that. But like, I had seen that there was more of that in the story built. It seemed like the story laid heavily on that because like the whole thing about the goblins, from my loose understanding, is that like that's their thing. They rape things.
It doesn't matter if it's people, whatever, but they will just
I think
there's a comic book called Crossed. I don't know if it's a Garth Ennis comic book.
I've heard it, I haven't watched it. I've read it though.
Can't read it because it actually gets me on a guttural level, but it is very much if you boil man down to its like most like, if we never developed a society, this kind of stuff, like what happens when the id just like loses control. And that's kind of what like the goblins are in the Goblin Slayer. It is very much like this is just primal urges of fucking killing like the end. And that's pretty much what it is. And that's why Goblin Slayer, the character, wants to kill them, is because they are just that primal urge and they hunt in packs together. And he needs to get rid of them.
Which I'm on board with his mission.
Yes, no, it's a good mission, and there's some very cathartic moments in that.
Yeah. Have you guys seen Berserk?
No, I
have
haven't.
Not seen Berserk.
So I think that has like numbed me to anything that's going to be that kind of behavior.
I've heard
because
Berserk
there is a like 3-episode scene where it culminates on his character, so it's kind of like one of those things.
It was one of the mangas that was plastic wrapped in Suncoast.
Oh wow, okay, that'll tell you.
Yeah, so
it's amazing, like the old school one, and then they redid it to go past because it stopped at a certain point, which is the bad part, which actually starts a new point for it, but it's amazing. It's one of my favorites.
I know. Figma, right? Guts.
I have the 3-0 coming for him.
I was gonna say
I was gonna get the statue, so
that's an anime that gets a lot of figure love, like surprisingly, if it is that way. But yeah, like you get multiple forms of Guts and like crazy like dog-looking armor. Yeah, I just put it on the first episode, and then when I saw this is like before I really got really into like anime in the way that I will look for like the next anime instead of the next thing on my like overall list. Where when I started it and it was like CG, I'm like, CG anime, get the hell out of here. And I'm like, I kind of wiped it away from that. But now that I've seen a couple, I'm kind of like, I'll give it a shot.
The older one is the one I watched. I haven't seen the CG one yet. So I watched like the really, really old one, and then I read the manga. So
apparently the new one is
garbage.
Yeah. Again, I can't really do the CG. Let's see. I tried watching Baki and
I liked Baki because it gets super weird and super bizarre. I did not finish it. I'm like, I got 8 episodes in, and then I kind of jumped onto some other stuff, but like I enjoyed it enough that I'll probably go back to it.
It was one of the ones I watched the first episode, and then I put on 3 in the background, and I'm like, I'm not interested. And then what was the other one? The other Kenshin something.
Rurouni Kenshin?
No, not Rurouni Kenshin. That's
like,
it's on Netflix, right? It's another like
another fighting anime is very similar, but like the CG animation, like just kind of weirded me out.
I feel like Netflix went for that thing. We're like, okay, let's get into anime. What's the fastest thing to do? And I guess maybe it's the CG, which is why I really want to recommend people to watch Dorohedoro, because I really feel like it's one of the first CG animes I've ever watched. It's like, wow, okay, this is CG, but they went like 2 steps beyond the CG animation to make it something special. Where typically when I see CG anime, I'm like, I don't know about this. Like that new Godzilla anime, I'm like,
I could. Yeah, I was not a fan.
So
Mhm.
there we go. I guess that's our anime moment for the evening. Guys, thank you for tuning in to this week. Another long episode of just talking about a whole bunch of stuff. And but we'll catch you next week. Only 2 MHA Beyond episodes left for season 3. And then we move on to a movie, and then season 4. And then we have soon to look forward to season 5. So in the meantime, we'll catch you guys next week. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you again, Dan, for joining us. And
My pleasure.
Yeah.
you guys